Ange Postecoglou is back in the Premier League. He's just signed a deal with Forest, and as an Australian, I can't be more excited. Ange is known for attacking, free-flowing football, where Forest is known for sitting deep and being monsters on the counter and defending their box. Key players like Chris Wood, Nikola Milenkovic, and Murillo really don't fit his type of system. In real life, it's going to be interesting to see if this squad can really deal with Ange Ball. So now we're going to load into FM24, create an Ange Ball style tactic, and we're going to see if Forest and Ange are actually compatible. So welcome back everyone to another video on the Damo_23 YouTube channel. We're going to get into the rules of the save, and this is to build up realism for what is actually going to happen with Forest and Ange. I'm also going to show you how we have built this in terms of setting up the database. Firstly, Marinakis and Edu are in charge. This is quite apparent in real life, as Nuno Marinakis didn't see eye to eye and a bust-up occurred mainly due to the players that Edu was bringing in. It is quite clear from the outside looking in that Marinakis and Edu have this big picture in mind of what Forest should look like, what Forest should be, and the players Forest are signing. This is why he's gone after Ange Postecoglou, another fellow Greek-Australian manager that gets along very well with himself, that is Marinakis. We can't create that relationship in Football Manager, but what we can create for realism is actually allowing Edu to be in charge of transfers. And I'm going to show you how you can set that up yourself in a database if you would like to give this a go as well. So on Football Manager, you can actually set up to have your technical director or general manager, which Edu is at Forest, to sign players for the first team. You highlight to staff or navigate to staff, and you've got initiating player signing for Nottingham Forest, negotiating and finalising those player signings. You can also handle offers coming in for the first team. Very easily put for us is we're going to set all to a staff member, and it's going to be Edu. And same with contracts. And we're also going to do the same with, I'm going to allow head of youth development to do that in Craig. And sign players for the first team for the future. We're going to do that for Edu as well. I think that is very important because it allows us to create realism in the save. And we might give the head of youth the challenge down here with our under 28, under 21 and 18s as well. What this does is it allows to create an atmosphere in the save that Edu is the one in charge. What else we have done to create realism happens on the first screen in Football Manager, and that's of course by starting a new game. And in the database setup, you can make a change that creates some realism. That change is very simple. It is disabling the first transfer window, which means Edu can't make transfer signings in or out without us getting an opportunity to use the same squad that Ange Postecoglou is going to use at Forest in real life. As you can see from the below, you can tick this box, and what that means, and I'll read it out as it could be a bit small, Football Manager typically starts a new game in the same preseason that just happened in the real world. Therefore, the database reflects this in the squad list and the transfer budgets. By disallowing transfer activity in the first transfer window of a saved game, the saved game will reflect the real world more accurately than if the save allows teams to make transfers they didn't in real life. Simply put, this is another option to add realism of your saved game. That fits what we're trying to do. So for rule number 1, Edu and Marinakis are in charge, just like they are at Nottingham Forest in real life. Rule number 2 is that we have to use a tactic that is Ange-like for realism. Simply put, we want a true demonstration of how Ange Ball and Forest will compare or be compatible. I'm not going to show you the tactic right now, but in the next section, we'll go for a full tactic breakdown, how the squad looks, and the system I've implemented with a bit of my Australian knowledge of Ange Postecoglou. Lastly, and the best rule of all, is you must win a trophy in Season 2. We're going to try and create the same narrative that Ange always wins in his second season with a club. It's a great record, it was an iconic line, and I want to see if we can create that narrative again here in Football Manager. And lastly, before we get into the tactic, some outliers to creating a realistic simulation. Fixture schedules isn't accurate. It's based on FM24, it's auto-generated. We don't have the FM26 or the real life fixtures that we can implement. In real life, Forest has played Brentford, Palace, and West Ham. And as you can see in this database, the game has generated us Chelsea, Spurs, and Brighton, which is quite interesting and a little bit harder. Lastly, for realism, players CA and PA is based on the data used from FM24. I will say the creator of this database has made some tweaks, but it's not a true reflection of how the FM26 database will look in a couple of months. A prime example of this would be Morgan Gibbs-White, someone who nearly left Forest for about 70 million. In FM26, I expect him to look much better than the game portrays him right here, but he has had a little bit of an upgrade in potential. This can also impact the results, as it's not a completely true reflection of the exact squad that Ange is taking over. However, those are the rules, maybe some impact on realism, and it's now to get over to the tactic screen and see what we've cooked up to create Ange Ball. On screen is a 4-3-3 that has been built to tailor-make a system that replicates Ange Ball. It has some non-negotiables, and that is wing-backs that are inverted, trying to get in the half space, midfielders that will get into the half space as well, and whip from the wide players who will look to hold the ball up and look to create with their width. These are big key areas that Ange focuses on when his team have the ball. As someone that has watched Ange when he's coached in the A-League with Brisbane Roar, the Australian national team, over in Japan with Yokohama, or in the Prem recently with Spurs, those are the big key elements for me that make Ange Ball as good as it can be on its day, and very creative and very interesting to watch. I'll break down the mentality and, of course, the in position, in transition, and out of position prompts first. Then we'll go by roles and player instructions secondly, so you can get an understanding of the picture I'm trying to build and create for this realism. Attacking mentality is a mantra that Ange lives and dies by. I see a lot of tactics use positive when creating an Ange-like tactic. However, this little subsection means you have to use an attacking mentality for realism. This mentality is best employed for matches in which you believe you are the stronger team. That fits Ange to a bill, but are wary of your opponent's counter-attacking threat. As someone that has watched Ange a lot, he ain't gonna care about what you're gonna do. He's gonna make you focus on what we're gonna do. So with that said, it has to be attacking, pretty Australian, at your throat. We're gonna beat you at our own game. So attacking mentality it is. In terms of the system, it's a little weird. Ange plays in a quite narrow way, with only a couple of players staying high and wide, and those are the wingers. That is traditionally what is taught as coaches here in Australia, and kind of what our philosophy for coaches coming through has been built on. Wingers keep the width, everyone else stays very narrow to play and link up in the half space. Fairly narrow width then has to be used to make sure you're channeling basically everyone into those half spaces. Ange's team, however, will look to play into space, especially when the wingers pick up the ball and those strikers are making those runs. Also means that they cross the ball slightly early, and all I can think of is how many times Richarlison was offside in Ange's first and second season from these early crosses. But it is a big part of how Ange plays. He will look for build-up, and if the winger can get the ball and put it into space in front of the striker early, they will do so. If not, they will hold the ball up and look for the underlapping runs. Always one of his two fullbacks are more aggressive, and with Spurs it was Udogie on the left-hand side. So I am going to create a tactic where the left-hand side inverted wing-back is on attack, where the other one is on support. That means that a like of a Pedro Porro, so in this system I've selected Neco, will look to help him build up a little more, but not look to get into the half space and beyond as much, more parking on the edge of the area. Because Ange looks for his wingers to be the creative outlet, the ball out wide to hold it up to allow for those underlaps and that narrow system to come forward, we have to focus play down the left and the right and build out from the back because that's what an Ange team does. I was toying with going much shorter, and that's because Ange's team, even though they played into the space, it's the final ball. It's not because they're just pumping it into space. A lot of the build-up is short, intricate passes that are at feet looking to get players bouncing in and around those half spaces. Tempo, of course, has to be higher. Ange plays with quite a high tempo. In terms of crosses, it doesn't matter too much. You see headed goals in Ange's system. You see low tap-ins. You see it all. So we're just going to leave it on the default. The easiest part of an Ange system is they will look to counter press and will go up the field and counter when the ball's been won. And we've seen that numerous times with that absurd hard line that he plays, which is great fun to watch. He will look to distribute the centre backs to create that building out from the back and allowing his deeper six to come in and help. And in terms of out of position, something that is a little bit different that maybe you don't notice in an Ange system, but he actually allows the opposition to play out from the back. With that being said, we prevented the short goalkeeper distribution. His team will start just off of that area where the keeper might think about not playing, and that is to allow that first or second pass at the back. Then it is go time, and the team is right up the field, stepping up much more, getting really stuck in that true grit Aussie way, trying to win the ball back. Ange doesn't want the opposition to go long over the top of that press. He wants them to play the ball first, and then look to press, and as such, we prevented the short goalkeeper distribution. Now we go into player roles and instructions, because there are a few on each in particular role. Firstly, sweeper keeper, and it has to be on a support or attacking role. I feel in FM it doesn't matter too much, but when you think of an Ange keeper, they're high, they're up the field, and they're starting behind a defensive line that is on halfway, so they're naturally going to be further out their box. I'm almost tempted that we put it on attack, and you know what? Now that I'm talking to you, we are going to do that. In terms of the inverted wingbacks, one will be on support and the other will be on attack. We've put take fewer risks because the Ange system in terms of the wingback in build-up doesn't look to take too many risks by beating a man or playing this big expansive pass. It's about playing shorter into feet to build into areas of the field, the final third, where then we can get players that are creative, getting to the half space and playing those killer balls. We're also going to put on tackle harder because it's an Australian system, and that's just what we do down under. We will chop you if we need to chop you. Zinchenko on the other side has naturally all of those things ticked on as the inverted wing back on attack. As per what Udogie did at Spurs, he's going to be the more aggressive of the two and tackle much harder. In terms of defenders, I've actually slightly tweaked this for the players themselves. Murillo is a pretty decent defender in FM about defending on the halfway line. As such, he's going to close down less so he can sweep and tackle harder. Milenkovic not as much, so I've told him to dribble less because he's not a great dribbler, and tackle harder. And to be fair to Ange's centre-backs, they've never really carried the ball out of defence. They usually get played the ball in their own 18-yard box and look to bounce around with the midfielders or the inverted wing-backs to build out. Douglas Luiz is on dribble less because the 6 also in an Ange system actually sits and is the creative outlet, but doesn't seem to run too much with the ball. Basuma occasionally did, but when I think back to Brisbane Roar and the Australian national team, the 6 really was the player that sat in the middle, distributed to the creative players, and didn't go beyond his role too much. As such, a DLP creating that position of sitting in between the two centre-backs, being the creative outlet to players ahead of him, seems to be the best fit. I was tempted to go with a Regista, or go with 3 defensive midfielders with 2 Segundo Volantes alongside a anchorman, but I think a DLP in a 4-3-3 sits best. Obviously, yet again, we have tackle harder. Mazzala on attack, and if you read the Mazzala role very quickly, and I'm hoping that I can do this from this menu, is a interpretation of a central player that likes to drift wide and into the half space. That's all I need to read. And plays in the half space. We're going to have 1 on attack to really create an overload. And Ange's system, you could go with 2. But I think he also knows that if 1 goes, the other one kind of sits to help recycle. So I've gone with 1 that goes and 1 that is a little bit deeper to create the illusion of going out the other side, which you do see Ange teams do, which is moving the ball side to side. I have no player roles on both Mazzalas, but out wide, there is some creative things happening. Firstly, we have a winger on attack on the right. And this is because I don't know which role is best for an Ange system, so I've gone 1 and 1. The winger on attack, or wingers in Ange's system generally, will start wide and stay wider. They'll be on the touchline, and they're the kind of outball and build up before the half space overload comes. With that being said, they need to be a creative-minded player, but if you go to an advanced playmaker on support or an inside forward, which are other roles out wide, you're not going to get that. They're going to drift inside way too much. The other thing an Ange Ball system does is those wingers hold the ball up to create those overloads. However, you can't turn that instruction on when you're playing as a winger. But what we have done is created what Ange systems do, which is the winger will come inside when they get the ball if they're spaced to drive into the half space. So what we've done is created a role where the player will stay wide and look to cut inside with the ball. Also, if you look at wingers in Ange's system, like Son in the second season, they don't shoot too often. They're the kind of player that creates and looks to come inside and looks to play in the half space when it arises, or beat their man outside and get the ball in the box. So as such, shoot less often fits the Ange system. The other role we could use is the inverted winger on support, and the reason why I like that is you can tell them to hold the ball up, which means they'll stay wider, which you can tell them to do, and hold the ball up to allow an inverted wingback or a Mazzala or any type of midfielder role that you may use to get into the half space, get beyond and slip them through. I think out of the two systems, this one fits best, but saying that Ange plays within any type of inverted winger or inside forward role seems quite crazy. So what I'm going to do is go 1 and 1, see how that goes, and if I'm seeing in the database one's working better than the other in terms of creating what I think an Ange system does, I'll let you know and change both wingers to that. It just might be the case that this is actually a very good representation of an Ange system. Lucky last, pressing forward on attack. As much as I think you can use an advanced forward for an Ange system, Ange is known for that press and winning the ball back. And if you're doing that, you need a striker with work rate. And that's what I've gone there. I've selected a team that looks like my best starting 11 as per the roles, and that is Sells in goals with Williams, Milenkovic, Murillo, and Zinchenko. I think the key player in this system will be Zinchenko because he's naturally so good as an inverted wingback on FM, and a signing in real life that makes you question that Edu and Marinakis knew Ange was coming because he's such an Ange Postecoglou type player. Douglas Luiz also fits an Ange type role, someone that can sit in the middle of the park, distribute, give it to more creative players. However, if needs be, can turn and move with the ball as well in order to get out of a tight spot. Gibbs White and Anderson will be the favoured two in real life, I do believe, and who I've selected for both roles. Hudson Ndoye and Ndoye, which is quite fun to say, are going to be the wingers on either side. And I think in real life, as much as I do like Chris Wood, and he's good to see and play in the Prem, I don't see him ever as being that real, energetic, pressing forward type striker. As much as in game he could play it, and I will toy with Chris Wood in pre-season to see how he goes in the role, I don't think he's an Ange type striker. With that being said, I've got Callum Owendo, who seems to fit the pressing forward role the best out of the players that are at Forest. In terms of the bench, they're all the guys that are currently in my second string side. People like Igor Jesus and Angus Gunn I wouldn't plan to use. I think the players to watch out for the season is Callum Owendo, is Zinchenko, and I think in this sort of system, Gibbs White might be very creative as well. Now that the tactics is done, let's get through pre-season, and I'll see you guys for the opening day of the season against Chelsea to see how that tactic. Pre-season is over, and we have a few things to discuss from what we've learnt. Firstly, in terms of the board, is they want us just to avoid relegation. Little bit unambitious. I would say in real life, Marinakis probably wants European football again from Ange. Secondly, in terms of season preview, they predicted us dead mid-table in 11th. As you can see from the lineup, they expect some slight changes to what I have selected, and that's Ola Aina at right back and Sangari in the middle of the park with no Morgan Gibbs-White in the team. Yet again proving that the CAPA is a little bit off, because I would say Gibbs-White in real life is arguably Forest's best player. In terms of pre-season, we had a decent pre-season with some interesting results. We won every game, but had a couple of close games against teams that we shouldn't have. We conceded a few goals and multiple goals in 3 of the games. What I will say is the XG doesn't really tell the story. 1.51, all of that coming from a penalty, and their first goal coming from 0.14, and that was our game against Spull. Against SV, they had 1.21 XG, but it was the first game of pre-season, and the boys didn't know about the system. And against Serravetti, they scored 2 goals with a 0.44 XG, one of them being from distance. Yet again highlighting that we are giving up some chances, but not high quality XG chances. However, as per a typical Ange Postecoglou side, the opposition just seems to score all the time. So something to note. Secondly, what is important to note is we scored a lot of goals. But I will put my hand up and say at least half of these goals were from set pieces, namely corners that Zinchenko was putting in from the right-hand side. I have in-swing and quarters set up with near-stick delivery, and it seems like Milenkovic and Murillo just thrive on that sort of ball. Ange Postecoglou in real life doesn't really have a big emphasis on set pieces like Thomas Frank, for instance. However, when he was Australian coach, we seem to score a bit from set pieces, but that's namely down to the Aussie centre-backs and strikers, etc., being very dominant in the air compared to other Asian sides. It wasn't all doom and gloom, and the system did provide some moments. We have 2 goals against Atlanta United 2 to break down, first coming in the 10th minute, and highlighting the very high line and stepping up to win the ball back. Secondly, once the ball has been won, looking at the inverted wingback coming central, which happened with Udogie quite a lot on that side, and creating a 5-man, definitely a 4-man, but a 5-man front 5 in possession with 2 wingers keeping width and players in and around the half space. As you can see with Gibbs White in the half space, he's able to pick the ball up because the inverted winger is staying wide, and Zinchenko is able to pick the ball up centrally from wing back. This allows for defenders to come out of position, and it is a goal-scoring goal for Colomwendo. I don't know if this happened too much at Spurs, but at Celtic, this is the type of goal Kyogo was scoring when he played at a 9. In the end, nice finish, and that is the first of 3 goals we are breaking down. Our second goal comes from Morgan Gibbs White, and it is a goal, again, highlighting the space, but more importantly, why I think the inverted winger role is a more Ange-like role than an actual winger. As you can see, we have the ball and Williams plays back to Sells. You can see how inverted the inverted wing back on attack is, and you can see that width and that 4 with, potentially a 5th, as you can see Anderson in here, creating those 5 players with players in the half space. Murillo picks up the ball and looks for a pass, and straight away you see Hudson-Odoi, being an inverted winger, isn't eating into this space. He's staying wide, and he's looking to hold the ball up with his back towards, it's not towards goal. It's on the half turn, but he's looking to provide a ball into the channel. As you can see, it's straight into Morgan Gibbs White, and we're able to bounce out again. See the shape of everyone coming across, which is important. And you can see that Neco Williams in the inverted wing back on support role is in the half space trying to break that passing line. You can see the width of the 2 wingers, and we're able to go whichever way we want. Play plays out. Zinchenko picks it up, and again it's Gibbs White in the half space. Hudson-Odoi picks the ball up and holds it up for a second to allow Gibbs White into the half space, and a moment of quality from our star man. And the last goal pre-season is a goal where we transition from playing out of the back and creating that half space overload for us to score in. Again, it's another goal scored by our striker, but look how the winger drops in, and look at the shape straight away. You get that Douglas Luiz in the pivot that will help out in build-up if he is available. In this situation, he is not, but he can become available if needs be. What this allows is still for Zinchenko to keep width as an inverted wing back, but then invert once the space opens up. As you can see, Hudson-Odoi staying wider as the winger and looking straight away inside. And now that we get the space of Elliot Anderson moving forward, the inverted wing back will rotate into the center of the park and create that overload. And as you can see, Anderson in the Mazzala on support still getting in a great half space area, pulling defenders out of position, and I think it's Colomwendo on this stage, it is, not Chris Wood on the park, is able to be slipped in and finish a great goal. This system is slowly but surely being built into a tactic that really highlights Ange football. It's now time to see the system in the Premier League, and on the opening day, we have Chelsea. We have what I believe is the best starting 11 for this system picked, and we have got the squad numbers highlighting exactly what's happening in real life and made Morgan Gibbs White vice-captain of Ryan Yates captain. So with that said, this is the team that we've picked moving forward as the first choice. And what we'll do is highlight those key moments against Chelsea. In terms of opposition instructions, I don't set any up. But what I would say is in an Ange system, you never tightly mark. Because of how you want to press, you don't want to be man on man. It leaves you out of position. I'm just going to leave every game blank moving forward. Chelsea with a ball inside, which Milenkovic can pick off. And he looked for Hudson-Odoi that finds Gibbs White in that half space. Looks for Colomwendo. And at home, at the Forest ground, we have a lead inside of 10 minutes. And it is Colomwendo playing over Chris Wood. I like the attacking counter of this move and the system itself. Colomwendo on the last man, and that's a pretty good finish, and we're 1-0 up. Cucurella with the throw into Salcedo's feet. Sterling is picked off there, and we're out the other way, and Anderson picking the ball up. Ndiaye made a run into that wide space, and I think he's left it because he was offside. Win the ball back though. And that's a ball to Hudson-Odoi, who I think was offside himself. But the flag has stayed down and we could be 2-0 up. This wasn't a typical Ange Postecoglou kind of goal, but a goal you see a lot in Football Manager, and it has been awarded. We quick look at the offside here, and in the end, it was the fullback on the other side keeping everybody onside. Another highlight though, and it's Treble into Fofana, into Reece James and Cole Palmer. And this is where I want to see if we can deal with the ball coming into the box, which we can't. Sometimes you're not able to defend as well as you would like, and this was a moment for us. However, in terms of in real life, I expect this sort of situation to be defended quite well by Forest, as it was defending their box and not being caught on the break in and around the halfway line. Approaching half-time, it's going to be 2-1. As you can see from the stats, a very dull and non-exciting game, which is not how an Ange Postecoglou game would go in real life. However, the scoreline reflects an Ange game. There's already been 3 goals at half-time. Highlight as we're looking to make changes, Zinchenko finds Hudson-Odoi, Douglas Luiz, inside to Anderson, Kalamawendo with an opportunity, just into the side netting. Reece James, free kick picked off by Murillo. Interesting to see how we go on the break from a set piece action. Bakwa into Sangara, Ola Aina, and it falls to no one and Hato will clear. Milenkovic and White, Bakwa loses out, and Salcedo's ball into a space, and it's a mistake at the back by Ola Aina off the bench. Garnacho finds Enzo, and a chance that goes begging for Chelsea to equalise. From the resulting goal kick though, Murillo finds Gibbs-White, and we look to build out, and it's a great ball into Zinchenko's feet. A poor ball, however, and it looks like we're just becoming a little legless late doors of this game. Benot Badiashile and Hato play through that original press, but Aina wins it off Garnacho, and we lose it out again with another poor pass from Ola Aina. Ball in to Sterling, and a great save by Sells, and it'll be a corner, 84 minutes played. Since coming on the park, Aina's given the ball away twice, and it looks like outside of the first 11, maybe we have a team that can't really deal with this sort of system. Corner for Cole Palmer. His ball in front stick is cleared away, and Douglas Luiz clears up the field, and that should be a highlight that is over, or maybe backward can go on a run. And what a goal. What a counter-attacking goal. From the resulting set piece down the other end, we go up, one big ball, backward with a moment of brilliance, and it's 3-1 and probably game over. Ange's teams do like to counter-attack, so this is definitely part of the system. And that was a great goal from a defensive action turned attacking. In the end, at full time, it has finished Forest 3, Chelsea 1. And if you look at the stats, especially second half, we grew into the game and started to dominate in terms of attacking actions and XG. However, we weren't able to win the possession battle, but our pass completion was above 85% at 88%. And if you look at that Chelsea team that's on the pitch, it is a team that is a very heavily possession-based side. I think it's the sort of game that still highlights that this system plays sort of like an Ange Ball system, and maybe as they learn it more through game time, it will play even better. However, if I'm looking for future games, I'm looking for us to have over 90% pass completion and over 50 to 55% possession. But a great win on the opening day nonetheless. And now we're going to go into the future and see how the system is looking and how Ange is going. This is a screen I have never seen on Football Manager, ever. An emergency meeting to discuss injuries and to look at what we can recruit in January. Hopefully Edu and Marinakis go and grab who they need. But yeah, let's talk about the guys that are out. Hudson-Odoi picked up an injury, and it is a damaged Achilles tendon, so one of our star wingers is unfortunately gone. The other winger on the other side, in a 4-3-3 system focusing on width, has also broken his lower leg. This is putting us in a precarious position. We also lost Douglas Luiz with sprained knee ligaments, which always take a bit of time to heal on Football Manager. So another thing to add into the mix of this realism simulation is that we have copped a fair few injuries at the start of the season. That means the current starting 11 is very makeshift. Anderson moving wide on the right and Gibbs White moving wide on the left, meaning we're starting players in the middle of the park that aren't creative enough in the 8s and 10s like a Dominguez or a Sangari if we decide to switch him. This means that the system isn't performing exactly where Ange in real life would like it to. However, let's go discuss some results and see what the numbers are saying. First, let's look at the table. We currently sit in 10th, 9 games played, and a -1 goal difference. We are right where the game predicts us to be. However, if you look at the data hub and go into team performance, we are predicted to be 5th. And the main reason why is our underperformance in XG. We are 6 goals under where we should be, and add those goals in, the game predicts us that we would be in 5th position and have a much cleaner, more proactive, positive outlook on what is actually going on at the start of this realism sort of save. Match momentum doesn't matter, it's for our last game against Everton, and we'll discuss results in a second, but defensive efficiency for a Ange side is really good. We're smack bang in the middle of the table, so we're not a leaky defense, and we're not an impenetrable defense, as the game says. We're kind of middle of the road. We don't face too many shots, just below 8 per Premier League game so far, and our opposition is scoring at about 12 to 13%. We're not a great defence like City, we're not a poor defence like Brentford, as you can see up here, and we're kind of beating a few of the other sides around. The one thing I will say is we are quiet in giving the opposition chances, but we have a habit of letting those chances go in the back of the net, which is a hallmark of an Ange Postecoglou side. In terms of goal output, we have high non-expected goals with some strong defending stats, which kind of highlights that we are expecting to score with non-penalty involvement around 1.5 goals a game, judging from this graph where we sit here. However, in terms of what we are doing, is our non-penalty goals per game are great, but we're not able to convert those chances. This can lead down to the system not creating as much as it should be, and from watching the game, we don't seem in that final third to get enough players in and around the attack, or B, we have a lack of quality up front to finish those chances. Into the first 9 games that we have seen, the first 3 was the same as real life. Win 1, lose 1, draw 1. But in September, a very poor time of it. We only managed to beat Wolves 1-0 in a game that was very lackluster in terms of performance, and then not winning a game for the rest of the month, apart from our first Europa League game against Lille, where the boys all decided to put the ball in the back of the net for once. The Villa game was the most frustrating out of this, though, as we had 2.4 XG and 23 shots without scoring a goal and losing 1-0 to an Aston Villa side that played this weird 4-2-4 in game. This has kind of been the hallmark of the season, creating XG without scoring, and in pre-season where we managed to get the Mazzalas alongside the striker in the half space, we're really seeing a very disjointed 1 striker, 2 wide wingers, and nothing else presenting. This has led to no goals against Villa, Palace, and City, and finally scoring goals against Newcastle in a frantic game where we conceded a late penalty to lose. As you can see again, we scored 2 goals but had 2.98 XG, and really were failing to get attacking free-flowing football and failing in possession and pass completion stats. Our latest game, though, against Everton, yet again we were able to score but keep a clean sheet and win with 2.52 XG, but highlighting the problem that we aren't able to put consistent chances away after 9 games in the Prem. We had 90% pass completion for only one of the very few times, and that is down to Everton setting up a very defensive manner. What I'm planning to do moving forward as this goal loads up is test the tactic with slightly more a positive mindset and try and create the illusion that Ange has, which is a lot more possession in his games. As you can see from all the chances we did create in that Everton game, it was a long-range effort that went in, and it wasn't one of those clear-cut chances that we were looking to create. So in short, we have a team that is ravaged by injuries. As you can see with squad selection, we're not able to pick as many people as we want in the Europa League. And lastly, we're underperforming in key metrics like possession, pass completion, and chance finish. This could be down to the system, but this could also be down to the other fact that Forest and Ange aren't a good fit, and that's something we will continue to explore as we look to make some tweaks throughout the rest of the season. Lastly, we have to go into the promises and discuss what is happening in the squad. Jota Silva was left out of the Europa League squad because I couldn't fit him in, and he's unhappy and wants to see the players at the club improve in terms of happiness. Will Bolly was the same, I couldn't fit him in either. And the main reason we couldn't fit him in was a lot of this squad, and if we go to registration, we go to Europa League, there is barely any homegrown talent apart from Ryan Yates of Nottingham Forest Football Club. This is probably a problem they're going to face in real life, but in realism's sake, I don't think many players would actually mind not being selected for this squad, as I think Forest would be looking for more league results than over the Europa League in Season 1 with Ange. That also might not be the right mantra because Marinakis may want to win the Europa League, but it's important to note here that, hey, we're having some squad issues because players are unhappy. Because players are unhappy, Elliot Anderson took a little bit of offence that I wasn't happy with a 3-2 loss to Newcastle, and he wants us to look at improving our team talks as well. This has had a poor effect in the dynamics, and we're still struggling for team cohesion, which also could be hurting how the system is playing as well. We just lost to Ajax 1-0, and I've made some tweaks to our away game against Fulham. We'll explain those tweaks now and give you some gameplay from what comes about in the new system. I've changed some of the player roles, but we'll start with the tactical prompts. And the only slight changes here is I've put on the underlap on the right-hand side to mirror the left and help create some half-space overload. And to help with that, I've taken off hit early crosses to allow for the inverted wingers to hold the ball up and create that half-space overload that Ange looks for in real life. Outside of that, we have mirrored the left and the right with inverted wingers. We have taken off the instruction of shoot less often to help their creativity in goal-scoring moments, but continue to please stay wide and hold the ball up for hopefully some more central midfielders coming through. The Mazzala on attack was doing an okay job, but would go missing quite a fair bit from the attacking moments. So we moved as 2 central midfielders on attack and giving them the freedom to roam from position and take some fewer risk as they move with the ball so they don't burn it as much. This has also allowed for the tackling harder aspect to come into the midfield to help us win the ball back in that press. And we've moved to a DM on support because it has more customization, allowing for us to say to the DM, if they pick the ball up, like Basumi did in real life, he can dribble with it a little bit more. Outside of that, the rest of the player roles are the same, so only realistically a few slight tweaks. Now let's get into the Fulham game and see exactly what highlights we're going to get. First highlight, let's move the camera around, and it's come from a throw-in, which are generally overpowered on FM. Murillo finds Milenkovic as we're playing out here from the back, and it goes back to Sells, and we can see that the shape now is a lot better. I will say when we were playing out from the back, it was a lot better to see, but in transition, we couldn't really find the midfielders getting in those half spaces. Gibbs-White finds Murillo, and we'll play a little 1-2 on this left-hand side. Need to be able to get out the other way, and hopefully we can here with Zinchenko, Milenkovic, and one more ball to Neko. And we still have Anderson keeping his whip, which is quite nice. Unfortunately, the ball to Dominguez does not find his feet, and here come Fulham on the re-break. And on the counter is Carney, and Sells makes a great save. I think it's important to break this one down to see if it was a system issue or just a bad pull. And I think from everything I've seen here is quite good, But I think Anderson makes a mistake. He could either A, open his body up and play in Dominguez in here, or B, when he comes inside, not putting the ball into there and actually giving it to Dominguez's feet. So I think this is a skill issue and maybe not a system issue. Highlight with Zinchenko picking up in the middle of the park, and that's a poor ball yet again. So we need to stop limiting these passes in the middle of the park that are big switches. Like, it's another very poor ball. Smith Rowe's offside by a mile. I'm very confident of that game. But again, look where this comes from. It's Zinchenko trying to play Anderson, where realistically he should be trying to give it to Dominguez first. And that's what happens in the side, or it's to Neco Williams who's in here. I think there's two ways we can fix this, and that's an inverted wingback on attack on the other side, or we move the passing shortness to extremely short. But yet again, that has all come about from the player not doing what I want from the system, and that is playing a shorter pass. This could be down to team cohesion as well, and we know that Smith Rowe's offside. I think the first tweak we'll make is we'll make Neco Williams an inverted winger on attack, and see if that helps him build up as well. At halftime, no attacking moments for us to report, but we are having a lot more of the ball now at 61%, which is one of the main reasons we look to make these tweaks. I will say it is a one-off game against Fulham, but away from home to keep the ball like that is a positive sign. Corner by Carney, Dominguez clears, and Milenkovic finds a flick-on header to Anderson. One thing we have been really good is on the break. So let's see if that continues here. As a great ball to Kulamawendo into Dominguez, and our first attacking moment in the game ends with a counter-attacking goal. Another highlight straight away is Neco and Dominguez from this throw-in, backstick ball, and it's going to be recycled by Zinchenko, the other inverted wingback, who loses out here. But with the long ball, we should be able to sweep it up with Milenkovic and see what we can do with controlled possession. Neco finds McAtee and a good ball to Kulamawendo, and that should be a goal, but he's missed. An unfortunate moment there, but again, a little bit better in build-up, which is good to see. Gibbs-White's corner is headed into the bar. We really could have been 2-0 up here after half-time. Corner to Gibbs-White, front stick ball, and Sangari heads home. A hallmark of what happened in pre-season was a lot of set-piece / corner goals. And we are 2-0 up here. We probably deserve to be 2-0 up based on the fact we've had possession. And the match momentum, as we skip and look at the right-hand side, highlights quite a bit of dominance. Sells finds Zinchenko, which I would prefer him to play to a centre-back, but that's okay. McAtee looks for Dominguez, Kulamawendo, and I like the width of Anderson here, really holding that width. It should have went out to him. McAtee does find Gibbs-White, and that is a great goal and hallmark of this side. And that's exactly what I want to see from our wingers. Started with Anderson on the right being wide, and now we saw McAtee wide on the left, and a very well worked move, and a much better move because it's the two inverted wing-backs linking up in the middle of the park, which is more like what Ange did at Spurs. A great goal from Gibbs-White. We're 3-0 to the good, and I think we found a slight tweak to the system that might make us that little bit better. Time is ticking away here. As you can see from the match momentum on the right-hand side, we've dominated, especially since half-time. We've won the game 3-0 away from home, and straight off the bat, there are some positives about the slight tweaks we made to the system. 65% possession away from home, which is pretty much what Ange does in real life. He tries to over-possess the game of football. We still had the same pass completion at 88%, but moving from attacking to positive meant that we weren't burning the ball in the key areas. We had still over XG of 2, 18 shots, and that was a typical Ange Postecoglou performance from the team. Now, it is only one game, but I'm going to continue with this slightly tweaked tactic moving forward, and I'll see you guys during January, where Edu and Marinakis may be pulling the side apart as they have control, not me. We have reached the halfway point of the season, and as you can see, the injury crisis is still continuing on here at Forest. As you can see, Sells has currently had COVID and out for 9 more days. Well, his time's out, been 9 days. He's getting there slowly. Hudson-Odoi is coming back to the rehabilitation phase of his injury, but still going to be out for a while. And Morgan Gibbs-White has just broken his toe, which is not particularly good. Dan and Doy still with a long-term injury with a broken leg. Calamundo has obviously pulled his groin, so that's fine, but this was the best thing to show you. And McAtee, unfortunately, is also just injured himself as well, with a groin strain, is out for the next month too. I think this is something that can happen to Ange Postecoglou sides. You saw it in the second season in Spurs, that because of the high-intensity football and the amount that they press, it can lead to injuries, and it seems to be happening here at Forest. So maybe another indicator that Forest and Ange might not be the most compatible in terms of how the players might react and how many injuries they might get. So maybe a fair reflection there. Even with the injuries, however, Forest have flown up the table. With those couple little tweaks to make the system more Ange-like in build-up, the squad has responded really well. And after 22 games played, we've won 12, and we're on 39 points and sitting in 5th position. If we have a look at the data hub over here on the left-hand side, the game actually thinks we should be in 4th. We're 1 goal under our XG, and it's a lot better than the 4 or 5 goals we were under last time. But we're under an XGA, which means that we are defending quite well at the moment. This means that we could really go up the table even further with more team development, extra cohesion, and with some ability on the transfer market coming into the football club. In terms of how we're looking defensively, still exactly where we were when we last checked this out. Our goal input has increased slightly, moving past the 1.5 to more 1.6, 1.7 goal output. But more importantly, we're starting to see ourselves convert a few more chances as we move towards the City and Liverpool end of the metric. We're not as clinical as Man United or Chelsea or even Spurs, but we are creating a few more chances than them. If our conversion rate would go up even just slightly, we would have the 3rd best attack in the league, and that is something Ange prides himself on and really highlights this system is going in the right direction. As I mentioned, quality could help us. 3, 2, 1, let's go. As I mentioned, quality could help us rise up the league even further, and Edu has got to work on the 1st of January. We've had an offer come in for Christian Eriksen, or we've put in an offer for Christian Eriksen, and we, like Burnley, have made a play for his signature. I think he could be a really decent asset for 6 to 12 months, and I think this is someone that I would be happy to take into the football club. However, I do not get a say, and it is up to Edu. We've also had a loan offer come in for Taiwo Awoniyi, and Edu has rejected that as well. And lastly, we've also had some loan offers come in for Jair, which Edu has selected and accepted. This is kind of how it will go with the transfer window, and hopefully Christian Eriksen comes on in. What we'll do moving forward now is we'll recap any time there's a big transfer piece, and then come back with either an important game or with some more understanding of how the season's panning out. Edu has made his first signing, and it is Nico Elvedi, and it is centre-back. And for 10 mil that he paid, I think this is a pretty good backup, not going to lie. Pretty happy for the Mönchengladbach player to come on in. He's fairly consistent, loves a big game, and, Swiss international, and it's not too bad. 10.75 was the release fee. Edu paid it, and I'm actually extremely happy with that because at the moment I could only field 3 players on my bench in my most recent game, and that is because we have got Morato and Murillo both on international duty, which means Will Bolly had to play a game for us as well. So, I'm very happy with that. In terms of Eriksen, unfortunately, he said no to us. He decided that he wanted to go to Burnley for more first-team minutes. Little does he know, he probably could have got into my starting 11 because of how technically gifted he was, but is what it is. So, Edu's done his first piece of business, and it is to give us a centre-back that will give us some cover and kind of fits an Ange Ball type of system. He can get over his shoulder, run back and sweep, and it's a type of Ange signing that you would see and kind of explains a little bit about the players that they've signed in real life, which I'm pretty happy with. If you go back to Nico just very quickly, great pace, good jumping reach, likes a big game, 2 good feet, he knows how to go either way, perfect. Could also play inverted as a wing-back as well. The window is over, and there was only a couple of signings throughout from Edu And the only one of note was Nico. The rest were under 21 signings with no real potential. In terms of the fixtures, and since we've made the changes, which was of course that win against Fulham, we've had a better time of it of late, and we've played a lot of games as well. As you can see, we have gone and beaten Arsenal, gone on quite the run, especially in December, only losing a couple of games, and in January, only losing to Aston Villa for the second time this season, as you can see here. In terms of the data hub, we currently sit in expected position of 6th, and we're currently sitting 4th. We're actually 1 goal under our XG, but we're 3 goals under our XGA, which is really strange, which highlights that the Forest natural defensively minded squad is adapting to Ange Ball well, but isn't putting in the creative output of an Ange Ball team, but is able to understand the concepts and defend quite well in the system. This can also be highlighted from the defensive efficiency, as we are above an average defense and moved away from the centerpiece, limiting our opponents to under 10 shots a game and a conversion rate that's at about 12%, which isn't too bad, and as seen, we're quite an impenetrable defense. Moving into goal output, we've got one of the better attacking goals per game, at about 1.5 to 1.6, you can see in here, but we are also conceding about 1.5 goals a game as well, so pretty average. And then in terms of just scoring numbers, we've actually now come into the 3rd best attack in the league in terms of non-expected goals per 90, so in terms of creative of chance. If we were that little bit more clinical, we would exactly be the 3rd best attack in the league, but United are creating less chances and scoring basically all their chances, same with Bournemouth. That is kind of taking us out of that top 3 in terms of overall attacking potential. What that means in the league, with 10 games to go, we currently sit in 4th spot, which if Forest were to finish 4th in their 3rd season would be huge under Ange. It's something that I think would be an over-expectation. I think Ange in the league would be looking from anywhere from 10th through to 5th, personally, with Forest, if he could get the squad in and around that sort of area. As you can see, our goal difference is 13, and we are for scoring 45 and against only 32. If you filter by against for goals, we're currently, in that top half of the table for goals against. And in terms of goals for, we're currently in that top half again, but we're not quite in the numbers that an Ange Ball sort of side scores. Under Ange, you would expect a team that is purring to be in that top 3 most times every season in the league. In terms of the league table, if you do filter by home record, we're actually mid-table with 9 wins, 1 draw and 3 losses, which is strange. And our away form is actually great, as we currently sit 4th on away form with 6 wins and 4 draws with 5 losses. Typically, an Ange Postecoglou side do better at home than away from home, but all this equals out to a 4th place at the moment. What this means is that we are in a number of competitions still come the end of the season. In the Premier League, we have this run home, which includes Liverpool on the final day and Arsenal in a couple of games, and they will be imperative towards finishing top 4. We also still in the FA Cup, where we have had a bit of an easier draw, getting West Brom away and Burnley away. We've been drawn away yet again, but it's to West Ham, who aren't having their best of year. West Ham currently sitting in the relegation zone, which could actually happen in real life. And lastly, in terms of the Europa League, we're still in that as well. We did beat Monaco over 2 tight legs. We got FC Porto coming up in March. What we're going to do for the rest of this season is try and highlight some of those big key games. If we end up finishing top 5, because that would also include European Champions League football next season, and win a trophy, I will safely say that Ange and Forest are a good match for each other, and there is no need for a second season in this save. However, if there is no trophy this season and we don't finish top 5 as well, so if we win a trophy but we finish 7th, we will do a season 2. I think that's the best play. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move into a couple of those big key games and recap them. And if I'm going to say when we're going to be back next very quickly, it is going to be some highlights from probably the FC Porto home tie with some Arsenal and Porto away ties all mixed in together. First highlight in the Porto game, where we have to make the home advantage count. Sangari from defensive midfielder, underside of the bar and in. Great finish from Sangari. And that is a 1-0 lead to Forest. Early doors. Ola Aina, who's just come on for Neko, who got injured inside the first minute. And Elliot Anderson is now playing right wing with everyone being back fit. And it's hit the bottom of the bar and in. And we lead 1-0 in the first leg here against Porto. Sells playing out into Milenkovic. Should be able to find Sangari. And since getting the defensive midfield on support, a lot more of the 6 being used in build-up by us, which is great. We turn it over, though, and here come Porto with Saints and Ola Aina trying to stand him up. And we win it back with Douglas Luiz, who's been great in the central midfielder on attack role. Ola Aina, Anderson, Kulamoendo, and Anderson back a line to Aina. Playing in that half space. Lucas Zinchenko's positioning. Kulamoendo is in, and it is 2-0, and that is a great Forest goal. A little bit of combination on the right-hand side in the half space as well, which is brilliant to see in this system. And since changes to inverted wingbacks on attack, getting the inverted wingback in this sort of like 10 position has been amazing. Douglas Luiz was arguably fouled, but that is a great finish, and we lead 2-0. Approaching halftime here, it's going to be Forest 2, Porto 0. As you can tell from the match momentum that was on the right hand of the screen, we are dominating. And as you can tell from the left-hand side, where the stats are 7 shots 5 and 87% pass completion, showing that we are having the better of the game. However, possession-wise, Porto, who are a possession-hungry team, are having more of the possession battle, but aren't being able to do much with it, as our counter-pressing has kind of nullified any attack that they've tried to build up. Throw in, late doors. Palencia finds Pepe. Nico's just come on the park. Great tackle from the new signing. Murillo now. Good ball to Zinchenko's moved middle of the park. Kalamawendo turns out, looking for the run of Ndoye. It was a poor ball. And Porto going to come back down the other way. We need our shape to step up and squeeze. Look at the compactness between the lines. But that's a great ball to Keaton. Pepe now. Big chance for Porto. De Jong was brought down. That's going to be a pen. They always get given on FM. I like how compact the lines were. We just weren't able to cut off that passing lane. And a big moment in this tie for Porto as the penalty is given. We're going to need a Matt Sells miracle to deny De Jong. Can Sells do it? No, he cannot. And it is going to be 2-1 here. Luke De Jong scores his 12th goal of the season. A good penalty. And a well-worked move by Porto. And it's 2-1 with not long left to play. Throw in for Aina, though. We're going to stay on the front foot as an Ange team would. Douglas Luiz, Anderson. Goes back to Murillo. Nico driving, still going. Hits one, that's why. Not known for his attacking ability as Nico Elvedi. Free kick in the 90th for Mora. Backstick ball. Diogo Costa heads and it's saved, and then it's knocked in. And Porto have scored 2 late goals. Diogo Costa, the Portuguese FC Porto goalkeeper, with a header that is saved by Sells. You don't see that every day. And it falls back to Pepe. And it's 2-2. I think the depth in the squad has kind of taken its toll. I didn't have enough quality to bring off the bench. And on a day where we actually got possession back to basically even, and we had more XG and more chances, Porto scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game. And it's finished Forest 2, Portugal 2. We've got it all to do in leg number 2. The game in between both Porto legs is, of course, Arsenal, who are 5th in the league and we're 4th. We're separated by a couple of points. I've actually rotated in this game. I'll show you quickly what the starting 11 is. As at halftime, it's been a dull affair with only one highlight. And we've had more chances and we've been even-ish in pass completion and possession. Not so, but yeah. But it's 0-0 and there's not much to report. As you can see, we've got like Savona, Nico, Aina's going to have to play because the injury that Neko sustained in the first leg, he's out for 6 weeks. Makiti, Dominguez, Ndoye, and Amari and Wood, they're all starting. So we have rotated here quite heavily. At halftime, I am going to get Morato into this role and just kind of get him in a more of a supporting role and maybe get Nico out wide. But yeah, we are currently in a second half here against Arsenal, and it is currently 0-0 at halftime. Corner, Trossard. Front stick, Hincape heads. What a header. We're 1-0 down here at the Emirates. Hincape with a goal that will send Arsenal into 4th and us into 5th. A reminder very quickly that if we finish 5th but win a trophy this season, I will not do a season 2. But things become a little bit more tight in the table. Another corner here as well for Odegaard. Whips one in towards that front stick. Only as far as Gabriel Jesus and Havertz. It's deflected and it's in. It's 2 goals in quick succession for Arsenal. A game that's been quite dull. We've kind of had more of the opportunities. Slightly has now swung in Arsenal's favour. To make me feel better about myself, though, guys, give this video a like. I'm going to aim for about 5 to 10 likes on the video if we could, please. And hit the subscribe button if you're new around here. But we're 2-0 down. Odegaard set piece again. Sells claims. Penalty to Saliba. He was shoved. It's 3 goals in 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. All right, we're going to get some people off here. Sangari's going to come off for Ryan Yates. And Savannah's come back from injury. So we're just going to get Bolly out there even though he can't play. We're just going to write this off as a foregone conclusion here. Saka and Sells, and it's going to be Saka with the goal, and it's 3-0. That's all she wrote. Okay, we're going to lose this one here against Arsenal. As you can tell from the stats here very quickly, very even game, not much happening, but in 5 minutes of madness, about 8 minutes of madness, Arsenal scored 3 goals. 2 from 2 corners, 1 with a deflection, and then a pen. Short Sells to Sangari. Good ball to Douglas Luiz. Well played out here in the first half, here in the second leg. Gibbs White needs to pick that pass. Douglas Luiz. Ola Aina should be, and it is. We're 1-0 up here in the second leg against Porto. What a fantastically well-worked goal from defence to attack as the Europa League song finishes. We are 1-0 up. We did end up losing 3-0 to Arsenal. The game kind of petered out into nothingness. But what a ball from Douglas Luiz. Ola Aina, what a run. That inverted winger on attack is so important. So that inverted wing back on attack is so important. And we lead 1-0 away from home. At half-time, it is going to be Porto 0, Forest 1 in a game that is very even, very tight and very tense. Not our most free-flowing attacking selves, it has to be said. But we have produced some decent moments in the game. We did, of course, lead at halftime against Porto in the first leg and threw it away. So hopefully not a repeat of what happened in just, 5 minutes earlier. Now, can we roll when we do? And if find Murillo, Zinchenko. Now we can go out the other way. Milenkovic. Murillo. Past that first line of the press. Important. Look at the whip from Hudson-Odoi. Finds him. Goes inside. Needs a pass. Zinchenko. Gibbs White in that half space. Peeling wide. Hudson-Odoi now. What a well-worked move. And what a save from Claudio in net. More build out here from Porto. Zinchenko wins it back though. Hudson-Odoi. That's a poor ball. But we get it back. No, we don't. We lose out. Valera. Mora. Veron. Picked off by Aina. Falls back to him though. Now Aina's out of position. And he's on a yellow. Mora's ball in. Samu's there. Sells in no man's land. It's 1-1. He came for the cross, then stopped. Poor keeping in the end. A little unlucky Ola Aina to lose out there on that left-hand side. And it is 1-1. It is 3-3 on aggregate. Away goals do not count. As it stands, we are going to extra time. And Doi wins it. Up the field to Kulmawendo, who's not going to get on that. I think it was more just a rush clearance. Porto starting to get on top of us here. Should be a ball we deal with. Ola Aina. It's not. It's a mistake. Sells what a save. And in the end, it's going to be Porto who put the ball in the back of the net with Samu again. Or Miradon with another. And we are staring at Europa League exile in its face. It is Porto 2, Forest 1. Good save from Selves. Madiron actually headed it home to steal the goal. 2-1. And in the end, it has finished Porto 2, Forest 1. We are not winning the Europa League in season number 1. It is going to be us looking towards the FA Cup where we've drawn Man City in the quarterfinal. And of course, us finishing top 5 in the league. By all reports, it is looking like we're going to be doing a season 2 here with Forest as we're looking to do this Ange rebuild / predictionary sort of save to see how capable Forest's squad can be with Ange Ball. For what we've seen in season 1, it works, but it doesn't work well, and the squad needs more depth if it has to compete over a couple of competitions. FA Cup quarterfinals, Zinchenko against City scores. Wow, what a free kick from Zinchenko. We're 1-0 up here, away from home. Quarterfinal of the FA Cup's the only competition that we can win. And that is a free kick that beats Donnarumma, bottom of the bar and in. Great start here for Forest. We lead 1-0. Approaching half-time here in the FA Cup quarter-final. We do lead 1-0 at half-time, but a game that's only had one highlight. Match momentum says it's all City, but they've had 67% possession. We seem to be digging in, which is quite nice. The one thing I'll say about the Forest squad is because they're naturally so defensive and so used to defending their box, in these bigger games, and I've seen it throughout the whole season against the bigger teams, apart from the Arsenal home game, we defend the box really well, and there's not many highlights in this system. I don't know why that's a thing, because it's a naturally aggressive system, but it's probably down to the attributes and, you know, the way the Forest squad is set up is to defend the box and invite pressure. So at half-time here, we lead 1-0, which is absolutely great. Corner, Mateus Nunes finds Bernardo Reinders. He's had a fantastic start to his career in real life. And Rico Lewis and Reinders and Bernardo, Haaland. And so I think it is the bottom of the bar and out. It wasn't saved by Sells. Sells, Milenkovic, Douglas Luiz. Haaland slides in. We get a little lucky then. Zinchenko, though, looks for Anderson. Good touch. Douglas Luiz needs options. We lose out again. It's just that final ball. So the game's opening up. Sangari wins at Murillo. See if we can keep it. Sells. Douglas Luiz has got time. Gibbs White. Oh my God, another poor ball. We've had City there to be scored against. Bernardo scores. It's 1-1. I've watched 3 or 4 highlights and it's just all been, you know, final ball. We've got players in the right position. Poor pass and off we go. We just lack that little bit of quality. We lack that little bit of depth to rotate. And we're just tired in the 70th minute in every game. And I guess it's the system being so hyper-intensive as Ange likes it. In the end, it's a great finish from Bernardo. And it is 1-1 here in the quarterfinal. And yes, I want to make my changes. It always happens as you're trying to make changes that you concede. Guardiola going long. And he finds Foden. This is where the space is against sides that are smart enough to exploit it. Haaland's there and Sells saves. Great save. That's the space against an Ange side. You win the ball and you can hit them on the break over the top. And over the fullback. Very similar to actually the goal they conceded to Gyökeres straight after halftime in their actual first game of Ange, which was obviously Forest versus Arsenal, which I'm currently watching on my second screen. Guardiola and Ruben Diaz building out. I think the City are about to beat us here. We just haven't had the quality. It was a moment of brilliance from Zinchenko. Anyway, Rodri. And the build out again. Mateus Nunes. Hudson-Odoi wins it. Now, can we not turn it over as we look to build out? Good ball to Savona. Kulamoendo's in. Maybe a moment. He scores. Was he onside? That is the question here. No is the answer. It is going to stay 1-1. We don't even get a highlight to see if he was offside, which always makes you suspicious on FM. Elvedi, great ball. Savona, since coming on, he's looked fantastic. Ndoi, good touch. Has a runner. Gibbs White, big moment. He's hit the post. Oh, we've had a moment again. Game is opened up. It's back and forth. It's Bernardo now. Rodri. Haaland's offside. Don't even bother, boys. It's counted. He looked offside by a mile. Oh, who's this? Savona for no reason standing inside the box. If he just stands in the same line as everyone else, he's offside by a mile. And we concede a late one. That's poor. And we are out of all competitions that we can win. So this guarantees a season 2 for us. So we will do the second season here of the Ange sort of rebuild / simulation prediction here that we've been doing. And we're going to look to see if we can win a trophy like Ange would in season 2 if he stays true to form. But yeah, a game that we've played very well in. Unfortunate to probably lose it late and not get an extra time period. City were the better side, but as you saw, we had a couple big moments. Kulamoendo offside. I would love to see if he actually was offside because we didn't get to see the lines or anything. And then, yeah, a lack of a poor moment of concentration from Savona, who looked very good. He hit the post as well to go 2-1 up. Very unlucky, but yeah, I would love to see the offside if we could. I think he's onside by a mile, just looking at that. Look, going to be very hard to tell, but I'm telling you right here, he's onside by a mile. He's onside by a mile. Guardiola was keeping him on. Oh my word, boys. FM have killed us. It's even after the ball's been played, and look where Guardiola is. He's kept him onside by a mile. Madonna. Should have been 2-1 Forest. FM has absolutely done us in. My word. And in the end, that's what it felt like. It felt like live watching it that he was onside by a mile. But anyhow, we lose 2-1 to City, so now it's just a title fight. It's a race to see if we finish top 4 or top 5 to be in the Champions League. Which, looking at the table here with a handful of games to go, I may as well show you. With 6 games to go, we are clear of Arsenal by a couple of points, but we're 6 points clear of Chelsea. So I dare say that we're going to finish in the 4. With that being said, we do have a couple of difficult games towards the back end of the season. That's United and Liverpool. However, if we win these next 3 and we're going to be ahead by more than 6-7 points, I won't come back with any gameplay. I'll just recap the end of the season. But if it becomes close and tense, you might see some gameplay and me cutting into some highlights from the Man United-Liverpool game. But yeah, disappointing. We're out of the Europa League in the round of 16. We're out of the FA Cup in the quarterfinal. We didn't go on a run in the Carabao Cup as we drew Liverpool, I believe, by memory off the top of my head. We drew Liverpool and we lost in a shootout. So yeah, look. Ange winning a cup in his first season, not happening at Forest, but hey, could be Champions League football, so let's go find out if that's the case. Season has come to an end and we have finished in 4th spot on 70 points. This would be seen as a very successful season for Ange in real life. However, with us not winning a trophy, we will be moving into Season 2 and trying to make some signings. Our goal of the season was Sangari in the Europa League. It was a pretty decent goal from long range, but nothing too special that is worth showing. But yeah, we are here in terms of club vision for next year. They want us to play a bit more possession, make the most of set pieces, work within the payroll, and spend the original transfer budget, which I'll get to. I'll do all the rest of this, though, in once we are finished. I'll send the boys to the USA because it's always a good bout of fun. In terms of the data hub for the season, though, we did do particularly well. We actually finished 9. This is our biggest problem. We finished 9 goals under our XG. That's one of the lowest seasons I've ever had on Football Manager, period, when it comes to the data hub and the XG table and underperformance. So there's definitely a world where this tactic isn't creating the most clear-cut chances. Now, that might be in how Ange sets up in the squad. It also could be the fact of one of the outliers being that the Forest squad doesn't have an updated CAPA sort of range. You know, I'll discuss that when we look at the squad moving forward. But yeah, if we look at our data, especially considering that Ange just lost to Arsenal 3-0, I don't think that's a fair reflection either. I think this is down to Football Manager and, user bias, that we were that defensively impenetrable. We weren't the best defense in the league, but, we had low shots being faced and conversion rate that was low, which is not too bad. In terms of scoring, though, we had a massive outlier here. Goals per game. We were at only 1.5, 1.45, something like that. We were expected nearly 2 goals a game by the end of the season. Nearly at 2, we're at 1.9. If you look at that table, if we could find a way to get some goals into this system, and that might be by better players coming in Season 2, we could be a force to be reckoned with in the Cup. I think our big ticket items for Ange to win a Season 2 trophy and continue that I always win something in Season 2 mentality that he has, which, that is historical fact. I think the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup are going to be our 2 best chances, depending on fixtures and draws. We won't be winning the league with this sort of team, but maybe we could create something. But that's what the Data HUD shows. Got to move into the tactics here and actually just break down how the team really looks. I think from what I've seen, I'm almost tempted to say that the system worked in some ways, and maybe it didn't. Like, central middle and attack is definitely an option, and it did okay. I think the person who spent the most amount of time in that role was Gibbs White. And 11 and 5 is not too bad. He did spend some time out wide. I think the other person that played a lot in that role was a man that won't be joining us next year, and that is Douglas Luiz, and he got 8 and 8. So, yeah, huge that he's not, staying. For those that don't know, he's at Forest on loan from Juve anyway, but it sounds very likely that he's going to then move to Forest in season 2. On FM, in this database, he just has a loan contract, no option to buy. So we do lose Douglas Luiz. Same way that we in season 2 lose Zinchenko, who's one of the best inverted wingbacks in world football, on the database. Obviously, in real life, he's not a good to leading Premier League player anymore. He's been mismanaged by Arteta at Arsenal, and obviously has not flourished into this type of football. He probably has this sort of potential, even at 27, to produce on his day this level, but he's not this good. And yeah, obviously in real life, Arsenal want to get rid, but on FM, they're like, oh no, he would be one of our best players. So they're taking him back, and there's no option to buy in his contract, which is a little bit annoying as well. Which means that for season 2, for us to build a team, we're going to need to buy a left wing back, and we're probably going to need to buy a central midfielder on attack. Elliot Anderson in real life is outrageous and plays really well in the 10, really well in the 6, sorry. Doesn't know how to play 6 in Football Manager, which is a little bit annoying. Which hurts at 22, because I would love to use him week in, week out, and I think I have to, because he's going to be a pillar in Ange's side, but he will play naturally in the 6 or as an 8. I guess one of the other things we could do is just move him as a box-to-box as well, but it doesn't look like that he likes that roles per se. Could also just be a Mazzala on attack in the half space, which is what I might do as well. But yeah, we need to get some goals from this role. Anderson probably fits Mazzala on attack, but we could go with a midfielder. But definitely we need a backup left wing back or a wing back, because Aina, as good as he is in game, is not I'm a inverted wing back sort of player, even though he has the stats. So what I'm trying to say is we need a left back. We need 2 wingers, because like in real life, Callum Hudson-Odoi is quick. He's pretty nippy. He's a very good Premier League player, I would say. He's definitely a lot better than a championship player. But because this is based on some CAPA of a couple years ago, they're saying he's only as good as a championship player with a little bit of potential, and he had a pretty poor year for us. So, yeah, which is annoying. Ndoye as well, maybe a little bit better. He's a decent Prem player, but again, didn't really, both of them had broken legs / or broken Achilles tendons or whatever. So, yeah, we definitely need to get some creativity in the team. I think that midfield 3, if we kept it, we'd be pretty happy. As well as Gibbs White, obviously, in real life, is a much better footballer than what this says. But I think what we can do is probably have that midfield 3, or maybe get a 10 that is better than Sangari, or 6, sorry, that's better than Sangari. But we definitely need 2 wingers. Like, Koulibaly scored 21 goals in all competitions, and if we go to our squad here and we go by goals, all our goals came from Aramud Koulibaly, basically. In terms of Premier League goals, though, he scored 15, which is not bad in 29, so pretty solid from him. Gibbs White scored our goals. He's got 11 and 5. Some of that was from out wide, though, and he looked better as an inverted winger. There might be a world if we sign a midfielder on attack that we actually train Gibbs White to be a winger on the left-hand side and use that creativity. As you can see, he's naturally quite creative out there. He's got great vision, passing technique, and off the ball, which would make him pretty good. He likes some 1-2s as well, which is not bad from our wingers, and likes to beat a man repeatedly and run with the ball. I think also, from most of my memory, most of his goals, if we look at goals, this is not going to show the whole data, but like 2, 3, 4, 5 of his goals have come from central mid, right? I would say then over half of his goals also come from in a left wing role. I think there's a world where in real life he will play in the middle, but I think, and he can play wide in real life too. I think for us to get the best out of this team, we're probably going to move him on to the wide situation there. As you can see, he's an inverted winger. When you look at it, he is pretty decent. So I'm thinking for next season, it could almost be something like that, and we train him out there, Gibbs White, and just be like, you can get that little bit further forward, get that little bit more creative, one of our better players in real life, get him in that position, and then we get a left wing back that can do a job out there, and a central midfield on attack, and an inverted winger. Important to note that we do have the transfers are set to Edu, of course, as well. I'm also going to delegate this to Edu as well, or delegate that one away. That's for loans for young players. But we're definitely going to set that all to Edu, which is not too bad. What I'm going to do, that should also be to Edu and Edu and Edu. What I'm also going to do moving forward, though, is suggest some players to Edu to sign. That's by scouting myself as well, and hopefully he agrees with a couple of my suggestions. I really think there's a world where we need to go and spend big on an inverted winger and a centre mid on attack at a minimum. And if we can't get a left wing back that is of quality, use Aina and Neko Elvedi as a backup and buy a centre back / backup left back as well. But anyhow, that's the squad. That's 8 minutes of waffle as we move into season 2. In terms of budget, though, we've got 63 million to spend, as you guys can see just here. Or if I click here, 63 million to spend and 169 in the payroll, which is not too bad. So we got a little bit of money, and hopefully we can spend that budget and do well. Important to note, we do have people of interest. Milenkovic is wanted by Saudi, and he is fantastic on Football Manager, and he's pretty decent, and I wouldn't want to lose him. And Sangari is very good on FM as well, and is wanted by Saudi as well. I will say that Sangari, I would sell by a 6. That's maybe a little bit more forward thinking, than when he's more of a just sit in and plug the gap sort of 6, and that would benefit the system. And we could probably buy that sort of midfielder for like 20 to 30 million and profit quite a fair bit. So I would be open to this sale too. But yeah, look, successful first season. The data says that we're not scoring enough goals, which look, kind of is a fair reflection of how I think Forest will go. I think Forest, and we saw it in their first game, but it is the first game Ange's only been in charge for a few days. If you watch the Arsenal game, you know what I'm talking. Had some possession in some moments, but didn't know how to capitalise with that final ball, that final pass. It's almost like they have a squad that kind of wants to take that next step and play beautiful attacking football, but is just so well built at being a defensively minded, monstering, counter-attacking side that knows how to defend their box. And this data proves it. When we get into goal-scoring oppositions, we can't find that final ball. We can't put the ball in the back of the net. But when it comes to defending our backs against the ball, especially against the bigger sides, we seem to do all right and, defend fairly well. So, look, I think the data's pretty good. I think the team's okay. Be interesting to see how we go. This is kind of our base for next season. And I'll be back with some transfer signings, bit of pre-season recap, and kind of how we're looking for that opening day in season 2. Pre-season is over. We have got ourselves a team, and the game thinks we're going to be finishing in 9th. As you can see down here at 101 odds to win the Premier League. Obviously, the goal this season is to win something, and hopefully we can. If you have a look at that side there is some names that you've never heard of, and Edu and myself have gone to work to build this team into something that could be quite fun. If we have a look at the transfers, we do have one more that's on the way out at the moment here, as we did get a agent to help us sell Jota Silva, who's unhappy. We've got 19.75 million, and as you can see, we kind of need that because we're well over on the budget, which Marinakis is not particularly happy with. But that is because we have made some signings between me and Edu that have been fantastic. In terms of the transfer history, this is what we've done so far. 123 million on the in, 61 million on the out. But 61 million of those out was the first one that was sold by Edu. And that was Ola Aina, and I was not happy with this. This is the problem with a director of football save, is sometimes you just get teams that come on in, give a bid, and the AI's like, that hits his evaluation. It was worth 45 to 60 million, but to sell him to a club like Spurs, who have money and are a direct opponent of ours in the Premier League, we probably could have got upwards of 60 to 70, maybe even 80 million. So we probably missed out on some value, but Eddie said it's time to go, and that means we were short over on the fullback side. On top of that as well, if we move forward, we've made 61 millions of outs, and I'll read them in a row. Taiwo Awani going to Al Hilal for 24 million. Tyler Bindon, the New Zealand centre-back, going to Leeds for 9 million. Ryan Yates, our club captain from last year, was not good enough for the Premier League. He has gone to Leicester for 8.75. Chris Wood will get an absolute upgrade on FM26, I am sure of that. But he wasn't going to be a backup striker of multiple competitions for us, so we needed to buy a striker, and we sold Chris Wood for 7.75 million. Omari Richards went to Celtic with 6.25, And then the game, and Edu was like, yeah, I'm going to sell our backup goalkeeper for 4.2 million back to the Brazilian league. So we needed to buy a goalkeeper as well. We also sold Igor Jesus for 625. There's a couple of loans there. And as mentioned, Yota Silva's about to go out the door for 19 to bring our budget back to where it needs to be. So let's talk about the team, and we'll go through each player individually, how they came about, because as a director of football save, Edu makes the decisions. You can still go and make bids for players, and it's up to Edu if he wants them or not. Luckily for me and Edu have decided on a couple that we really liked. Let him handle the contract talks and accept it on behalf of management if he thinks it's acceptable. Same with the transfer outs. I have had nothing to do with that. That has all been Edu's work. Let's go through each player in chronological order of how they've come in. And as it so happens, kind of going up in price. There's a couple of cheaper ones in there. And yeah. All right, Ben Davies, first one on the list at 31 years of age. We sold Ola Aina, and then Edu went for Ingo Martinez over in the Saudi League for 3 million, ex-Spanish centre-back, very old. I personally was not happy with that. And luckily he did not accept us, thank Christ. Then he went after Ben Davies, I was like, you know what? I can see him being a backup fullback for us. Pretty good inverted wing back, as you can see here, when inverted wing back on defence. But on attack, does a pretty good job. It will only be a squad player. It is a bit of wage at 97k a week, but very well-rounded and brings some experience to a side that lacks a little bit of Premier League experience. So hopefully over multiple competitions, he can come in and fill a job at left-back, and if we have an injury crisis at centre-back, the 6-foot man can do the job there. We then had this guy come up on a scout report in Edward Spestian. I have no clue, but the Armenian international. And as you can see, he's a centre mid on attack. Only wanted to come be a squad player. It's probably good enough for us to start in the Premier League. He is fantastic, a consistent performer, enjoys a big game, and he was playing over at Krasnodar in Russia and doing really, really well. As I said, he came up on a scout report. I was like, oh, cool, he looks pretty good. And then Edu said, oh, yeah, I'm going to meet his 11.75 mil release fee. And I was like, Edu's a smart boy. So yet again, Edu, after a recruitment and scouting meeting, goes and gets Edward on a squad player contract. I'm over the moon because it means we don't have to start him. And he does struggle to get into our midfield. Fabio Parisi is one that we signed very late doors in the window. When I say very late, I try to get my work all done before August so they all get integrated together. But we needed, obviously, a full-time first-string left wing-back or left-back that can play inverted on the left-hand side. We actually found it very hard to find one. And then Fabio Parisi came up there from Fiorentina, I reckon he was still at. The photos at Fiorentina. It was 10 mil. I instigated this transfer. I was like, look, we haven't found a sufficient quality yet, and Edu was not searching for a left wing back. So I put in the offer, and Edu was like, yep, I'm happy to handle the contract and accept this one, which is great because he would have rejected it otherwise. And look, 70, 87 mil is what he's worth now. I think he's fantastic, great determination and great pace, and I think he's going to fill the void over at left wing back. That is left, but Ola Aina, because obviously we do not have Zinchenko anymore. This one was interesting, and I am glad we got him. Federico Pereira. When I was looking for a left back, we found a right back. And he was only worth 8 million, was Pereira, as you can see here. 8 million from the Mexican Leeds of Tulca. He rejected the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, a couple of Italian clubs to come to me. And the reason was because we're making him a star player, where they were all looking for squad rotations and he wanted Premier League minutes. I don't think he's the greatest fullback of all time, but what he does do very well is he can defend, so if we ever need to shut up shop, cool. But more importantly, as an inverted wing-back on attack, 2 great feet, so left foot and right foot, 6'2", so he can deal with those backstick headers whenever possible, gets further forward, which is what we want from our attacking wing-backs, and can just do the lot. We also have long throws at 17, and I will utilise that. I don't know if Ange would in real life, if he would utilise a long throw, but I'm going to set up some long throws, and because I think they're fun. So we may as well deviate a little bit from the mean there. But couldn't believe it for 8 mil. We had to go pick him up. Yet again, I instigated this one, not Edu, and that is perfectly fine. This one was instigated by Edu, and I will say it's a little bit weird, and I don't think this would happen in real life. The value's a little bit odd in the game. Like, Eze was another one that Edu went for. Luckily, you can still reject them, and I did reject this one because I just think it's just too far-fetched. Eze is obviously gone to Arsenal for a big amount of money. In the game, Arsenal barely used him, so he hasn't developed, and then they transfer listed him for 14 million. Never, ever going to happen. He's too good of a player. Same with Trafford. So obviously they had Donnarumma come in, so they bought Trafford. Trafford didn't play a game, he got unhappy, and then they want 2.5 mil for Trafford. And because we sold our goalkeeper, Edu went for a goalkeeper, and they went for Trafford because he was there. Promising goalkeeper, 22 years of age, more an Ange type of goalkeeper, like a proper sweeper keeper, 6'6", physically a monster, can get off his line. He's pretty damn good at what he does. He's also a great shot stopper. Matt Sells, for those wondering, is happy to be a backup keeper as well, the 32-year-old Belgium international. So I think this is an Ange type of keeper. So I was okay with this, even though I think it is a little bit, unrealistic, because there's no way he's going for that sort of price, but there we are. Then the two big ones right at the end as well. Tammy Abraham. As I said, we sold Chris Wood, we sold Taiwo Awani. We needed a striker, and then pop up in the inbox from Edu is we have put in a bid for Tammy Abraham. Edu, you genius. Beautiful. So Tammy only wanted to come in to be a squad player, has kind of tailed off, used to be really good, you hear a lot of things, went to Roma, did okay in Rome, especially in that first season, and then kind of just, fallen by the wayside. But in-game, in this database, did really well, Besiktas on loan, and we brought him in, pressing forward, which is what Ange wants, so decent physicals, great determination, off the ball, teamwork, work rate, technique's pretty good, can win a header, he's 6'5", he's dual-footed, and even though the game reckons he's a squad player, I think we're starting with Tammy up front, for the season to begin with, because I think Callum Owendo is a great impact player off the bench. Get ourselves in, get ourselves in the game. Be dominating, and then bring off the speed merchant as the advanced force instead of a pressing forward late doors to go and change the game. And I think that suits the team very well. And lucky last, we needed a winger. As we mentioned, Cullen Hudson-Odoi and Ndoye are not good enough on Football Manager in FM24. Obviously, when the game comes out next year, I expect them to both get a CA and a PA upgrade. I think they'll be potentially very good wingers in the Prem and be of a good, sort of ability in the Prem as well, not being championship level wingers. But yeah, Luis Enrique is a guy that has come on in, and he looks the goods out on this side as an inverted winger. Think he's really, really good. He's got natural flair, good passing technique, dribbling ability, and physicality. I think this is an Ange type of signing, a tricky winger that can do a lot. 32.5 mil for Botafogo's best key player in the database, I think is sensational. This one, though, was instigated by myself. I was doing some scouting for a wing, and he came up, and I was like, you're too good to pass up. So we put in an offer, and Edu did the rest. 32.5 mil was his release fee. Nice to bring on Luis Enrique. That means the team's looking like this, and Callum Owendo is out on international duty. So is Murillo with the Olympics on. I think it's the Olympics under 23 squad. There we are. But yeah, our team is going to be Trafford in goal, the new goalkeeper sign with Pereira. Milinkovic and Murillo staying together with Parisi, filling in for Zinchenko. Sangari's been named captain. No bid come in from the Saudi League. I'm happy for him to be in and be captain, to be quite honest. Sitting in that role, being a bit more of a defensively minded midfielder. Got to leave him on the DM on support, but I am tempted to maybe try a ball-winning midfielder on support. I'm using one in my Sunderland save, and they actually sit in the middle of the park, but run with the ball kind of like an Ange center, an Ange defensive midfielder does as well. So I might move into a ball winning, but we'll leave it on defensive midfield on support, see what happens there as well. We also made a signing, and it's because he's on the other page, and we did it really early, and that was David Fratesi for 32.5 million. Transfer listed from Inter. This is a no-brainer. Centre midfield and attack. Well-rounded. This is a typical Ange sort of centre mid. Physically a monster, determination great, 15 finishing from centre mid, can play in the back of line even as a defensive midfielder, which would be a waste. Moves forward, gets forward whenever possible. How Inter did not use him last year is ridiculous. And David Fratesi is an Italian, and as an Italian, I am over the moon we've got him in at the football club. But yeah, he's playing in the middle of the park as well, so that's pretty good. Anderson playing in that Mazzala role. I want to go back to one set of mid and one Mazzala and see how we go here. I'm also going to get Luis Enrique to be an attacking winger, trying to be in that little bit more creative, a little bit more forward thinking, and trying to probably get a little bit more goal output out of him. Gibbs White, we're training to play on the left hand side. I think it's his best role on FM. In real life, maybe, maybe not. He can definitely play out there. But on Football Manager, from what we saw of last season, he looked his creative best in this inverted winger on support role, really being wide, picking the ball, holding it up, linking the underlapping runs. So that's Morgan Gibbs-White on that side. And Tammy's going to be up front to be the starting striker. If you have a look at that bench, it's starting to look like a Premier League bench. Matt Sells is a Premier League level goalkeeper. Nico Williams is a Premier League fullback, and I was actually training to play inverted winger until we found Luis Enrique, because, be surprised, Nico Williams, as an inverted winger, he just looks really good. But there we are. Nico, who Edu signed last year, is a backup. Nicholas Dominguez is still here. James McAtee is still here. Edward is on the bench, and he could be starting for us. Ndoye will make the bench, of course. He has some potential, but I don't think he's that good. Callum Hudson-Odoi will make the bench, has some potential. Don't think he's that good. And Callum Owendo, I think just as that last, off the bench, get him going, put him on the last man, let him do his thing. When we need a goal sort of player is pretty good as well. Got guys like Morata and Ben Davies not making the bench, Savannah not making the bench, but guys that can really impact the squad. And this is a much better squad than what we had last year. In terms of competitions, obviously we got the Champions League, we've got the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, and the Premier League, and Ange is looking for a title. He's looking for a cup. Continue that trend of always win something in Season 2. I know which competition I'm going to be targeting, and that is going to be the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. I think they're the easiest ones for us to get up. We probably don't have the quality to go on a run in the Champions League, but, stranger things can happen. If we get a good draw, we'll get into the knockouts, and Ange sides do really well in the knockouts. We might be right in the Champions League. I highly doubt that. I don't see us making a title fight, sort of defence in the Prem. And as we can see, we start with Liverpool, Chelsea, and then Fulham away, which is not easy. Luckily, we then get Ipswich, Norwich before we're getting Arsenal, which is a little easier. And then we get Arsenal, Spurs, Man United, City. So that is a really tough start. But what it does mean, if you have a look at here, is from November through till December, until the Boxing Day, we've got a really good run of fixtures. So as long as we stay competitive early, we should get some points. Goal is win something. I think the Carabao Cup with a good draw is definitely the competition, or maybe, just maybe, it is the FA Cup with some good competition and good draws as well. But that's our breakdown for how Season 2 is looking. Let me know where you think I would finish. Give it a timestamp, and let's get into the opening day of the season, because we do have Liverpool at Anfield, which is going to be really difficult. I'll give you some gameplay of how the new signings look and how the system's going. And then, we'll obviously go through the season and see what happens and give you guys some live comms of some important games throughout. Joe Gomez throwing in the deep ends of the Liverpool half. Gravenberch going on that run, driving, beating people, which he does so well. Sangari's tackle doesn't win the ball back. Pereira, Enrique's been pressed and turns it over, and Robertson, who's on a yellow, will pick it up and drive. Ball into Wirtz, great touch from Florian. Hasn't looked that good in real life, to be honest. Suller's there. Yeah, we haven't seen anything like that from Wirtz in real life, but Suller's there. Suller heads home, and that is a 1-0 lead. And approaching half-time here with the injury time played out. 1-0 down here. If you're looking at the stats, we've had slightly more possession, and we've had 4 shots still against a very good Liverpool side. So some promise there. Hopefully not a big long-term injury there to Sangari. But a little bit of promise. Hopefully we can find our way in the second half. Yet to make a change, and a throw-in down our end. It's Fratesi into Dominguez. Back to Fratesi. He knows how to finish. Blocked. Enrique's effort's blocked. Probably our best chance of the game so far. We are going to make some changes as well. All our changes are now on, and Neko, who's come onto the park with the ball. Luis Enrique stayed out there, and that is an effort that's over the bar. And we had a chance. Nico, Murillo, we've been on top of the game. I'll show you guys the match momentum after this highlight. Hopefully it ends with a goal. Wendo's now on the park too. Murillo, looking for Gibbs-White over the top. Just didn't put enough on it. If he's got to play that ball, he needs to overhit it, not underhit it, because then this happens on the break. And that is a ball. Gakpo scores. It's going to count. We turn the ball over in the middle of the park, and Liverpool score. It's against the run of play. I'll show you guys what I mean against the run of play. If we play this well against most teams, we're going to win a lot of games this year. That's unfortunate. I like that Nico tried to foul some balls. Just was a little late. But if you have a look at the match momentum, 10 shots free versus 11 shots free. We have better XG. We've got the possession over 50%. Look in the top right corner, match momentum. Dominated since about the 55th minute up until that moment. So yeah, we had more of the ball, more of the game, etc. Unfortunately, Murillo's just come back from international duty. He's absolutely legless back there, so maybe a part of it. Enrique hasn't had a preseason because he's just joined. Those sort of things. But yeah, we've played pretty well. It's been pretty unlucky. Approaching full time, no more highlights in the game since that Liverpool goal. We lose 2-0 at Anfield, which, look, on paper, expected. If you have a look at those match stats, though, we had same pass completion, touch more possession, one more extra shot, better XG. We lose 2-0. It happens, but it is what it is, and I'm okay with that. We played pretty well. Let's go see if there's anything about Sengari. I have said the wrong thing there. That's beautiful. He's out 3 to 4 weeks, so that's not too bad as well. So I'm pretty happy with that. We will get into a bit of a mid-season recap here. Somewhere in here or somewhere in October after this hard run, we'll come back, recap how the results looking, what the data hub's looking like, and seeing if we are looking at a potential title here at Season 2 of Ange and Ange Ball at Forest. Our hard run of fixtures are over, team, and, well, it's been an interesting start to the Premier League. We lost to Liverpool, as you guys saw, and against Chelsea at home, a game that was quite intriguing. We dominated the first half of this game, being 1-0 up, even after Tammy missed the penalty, and then from about the 65th minute onwards, as we've seen in previous, games last season, we just get dominated because the team's a bit tired and the quality lacks. I am trying to play an Ange Ball system, and he doesn't kind of change his mantra. If I was trying to manage a game how I would, that's where I'll probably be looking to change some roles and some intensity and make sure we're sitting in and observe and, trying to keep some energy. Seems like we just run out our legs late doors, and we lost to Chelsea 2-1 on the second match day. Outside of that, though, things went awry post this. As you can see, we did not lose another game in the league until Man City away from home. We beat Fulham 2-1 in a crazy game. We beat Ipswich 3-2 in a game where we're leading 3-0 and dominant in, and then decided to give Ipswich all the chance the second half, again, proving after half time we seem to lack. And it will be highlighted in our data hub. We then drew to Norwich away, which was not a great result at all. And as you can see here, we were much the better side and conceded to the only shot they had on target. It looked like last season all over again, not being creative, not finding chances, but mercifully we started scoring goals. We then got Arsenal in a 3-3 game that was absolutely crazy and very even, very similar to the Liverpool game, but we scored our chances, and it's probably down to being at home. Tammy with a brace there, scoring a pen as well. We then beat Spurs 2-1 away from home to get us, kickstart our season away from home. We were definitely the second best side. We absolutely FM Spurs, but it was nice for us to get in there. Mr. David Fratesi scoring his first goal for the club, which was quite nice too. We then beat United 3-0 at home, and I'm like, okay, we're on some form. Which is pretty nice. United, woeful. This is the worst United performance I've ever seen. Don't ask me what happened. I've never seen it. They played this 5 at the back system and they didn't even move the ball. It was odd. They also had 50% possession, but they didn't have a shot. I've never seen that in FM ever. I will say fully, I've been making coffee, doing work on the side, and I got to half time. I'm like, great, made a couple of changes. I looked up, I'm like, they haven't had a shot. That's pretty weird. So there you are. We then lost to City 2-1 in a game that, look, we're meant to lose this, but it was fairly even. It was pretty quiet. City just had the occasional highlight more than what we had, and it is what it is. And then we just played Bournemouth, and typical Ange side, we just love conceding. As you guys can see, not many clean sheets here. Trafford's conceding a lot of goals, but we absolutely dominated Bournemouth. Just every highlight they had went in the back of the net. One of those games. But as you can see, 33 shots, 2.91 XG, 62% possession. What the system is showing is that we've got players that are capable of playing it really well and being full free flow and attacking beautiful Ange football. But like Ange in real life, we don't have players that are able to defend at this intensity. Ange's system would be really good if you're like at Man City. A team that is like top dog, we're going to absolutely destroy you. We have world-class physicals so we can run the 90 minutes out as well. And in that case, then we're going to have the ball, we're going to keep the ball, we're going to score a chance, we're going to be relentless, we're going to win the ball back, we're going to play in your box, basically, that high up the field. For a team like Forest, yeah, look, we're seeing signs of it progressing, and that's the part of building a club and building a philosophy. But in Season 2, I don't know if we're going to win a cup because we're conceding so many goals, but it is what it is. If you go to the data hub, as you can see here, we're currently sitting in 7th position. We should be sitting in 5th with 2 goals over on an XGA. If you look at the defensive, we got one of the worst defenses in the league. Pretty leaky. If you look at goals, yeah, we're conceding a lot of expected goals per game, but we're scoring a lot ourselves as well, creating a lot of chances. And then if we look at attack, we actually started the season out really well, beating Liverpool and Arsenal, where of course Forest, with non-expected XG per 90. Unfortunately, our conversion rate is slightly lower than Liverpool and slightly lower than Arsenal. Puts us as the fourth best attack in raw data, but the second best if we were converting our chances. So there we go. City, of course, are flying in that as well. If you look at the table, as you can see, we only have a positive 3-goal difference because, we have lost a couple of games already and, we have scored a lot of goals, but conceding a lot as we've, we scored 20, which is second tied with Liverpool and first the City, but conceded 17. So, yeah, maybe a little lucky to have 5 wins. Now let's look at cup competitions, and we're going to go to the Champions League, and this is our draw, which is St. Gallen and I think that's Red Star. 4-0 and 6-0. We won both of those games. Absolutely brilliant. We again got Real Madrid at home, and we put in the performance of our lives, lads. We should have won this game. We dominated Madrid. This happens a lot in cup football when you're the home side. You just dominate the opposition. Tammy scoring a penalty, and nice moment just to say Tammy is doing really well. He's got 6 goals in 9 appearances for us. He has got 10 goals in 13 appearances, averaging at a 7.2, as you can see down here. He's been looking really, 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 really good. So, yeah, we're doing all right in the Champions League. We're currently sitting third. And if you look at our draw here for the Champions League, probably should beat PSV if we're any good. Should beat Fiorentina away. Should probably beat Celtic at home. And then we probably have some tough time against Inter away from home and probably be a tough time against Leipzig at home, but should maybe get a result. So we should get through to the knockout stage of the Champions League, and that would be an extreme success for Ange if he was in this position in his second season. I will say if you're a Premier League club getting into the Champions League, you probably should get out of the league phase, but this would be pretty nice, and who knows, dare to dream. The other competition that we've earmarked that we want to go on a run in is the Carabao Cup. We went pretty full strength against Derby County, won 4-1, which is quite nice. He scored off the bench. Where is he? Can never pronounce his name, and it won't let me click on him. There we go. Edouard. That's what we're going with. I'm going to call him the Serpent, because it looks like Serpent. I don't know. My brain's a bit weird. Central midfielder on attack for the Serpent, and every time he's come in, he's looked the goods. Premier League, not so much. 3 off the bench, 4 starts, because I've been trying to get him in. In Europe, 2 games, 2 starts, 4 goals. Beautiful. And then in the Carabao Cup, off the bench scored. So in the cup competitions, averaging over an 8 and scoring goals for fun. I might be trying to get him into the first 11 a bit more because he is playing out of his skin and he is a person that is a consistent performer and enjoys a big game. But yeah, Edouard's doing really well. So what this means is we're going to give you highlights of the Chelsea game because this is one of the cups I think we could win in Season 2, and that is the goal of this save. Let's find out if we're going to be into the next round. And if we can beat Chelsea, which we did play him, obviously, beforehand. We did dominate him if we look back at all the tactics and the form, etc. On the second match day. We did dominate him without scoring. But we can go out here, get a result. You dare to dream that this could be the competition we end up winning here in Season 2. Palacios and Kai Hato. Garnacho's Chelsea work it through. Good press from Luis Enrique. And off he goes, the Brazilian. He's nippy, he's quick, he's 6 foot. That's not the ball. That is a very poor pass. And Enzo picks it up and pops it into the channel. But Murillo sweeps. Pereira now. Getting squeezed. Needs options. Finds Enrique. Back to Pereira. And it's a good ball into the Serpent. Tammy holds it up. Gibbs White. Finds Tammy. In he goes. Great save from Jorgensen. Big chance goes begging for the big man, and it really should have been 1-0 here in the Carabao Cup 4th round, and we do not score from the corner. Usually these just filter out. Gibbs White maybe? Doesn't shoot. Why? Pereira hits, it's blocked. Sangari hits, it's blocked. Oh, we're pulling on the pressure, but it's 0-0. Hato goes short into Enzo. We go to squeeze, we don't win. Garnacho now. Well done, Luis Enrique, tracking back. David Fratesi. Tammy, driving, running, going with it. The pressing forward rather than be in the box. David goes down. They get given a lot as penalties on FM, these sorts of tackles. Is this one a pen as we take a swig of our coffee? It's a penalty. Tammy has missed a couple this season, but has scored a couple too. We've had 4, I think, already, which is that's a lot so far. Anyway, Tammy steps up. Jorgensen dives out the way. He did save Tammy's penalty last time. Tammy did go to the left-hand side of the keeper, which Jorgensen saved. This time going down the middle with power. And Jorgensen dives out the way. And that is 1-0. And we're leading in the Carabao Cup 4th round. Approaching half-time. And it's going to end 1-0 after we played a couple of extra minutes there. But yeah, as you can see, a game where Chelsea are having a lot of the ball. And they are a heavy possession-based side. But we're marshalling them really well, which has not been like us in the league, but that's fine. Ange, by the way, in cup competitions, seemed Spurs to win the Europa League. Can be a little bit more pragmatic. I'm trying not to be quite honest. But yeah, so far, good XG from the pen, and we're leading, and that's exactly where we want to be. 45 minutes away from a place in the next round of the Carabao Cup. Throw in, just after half-time, a Parisi, the Serpent. Gotta love that nickname. Gibbs White. Garnacho fouled his man. Now, was it in the box? I think that's the question. I think it's a foul. And if it's a foul, this could be a second yellow and a red card, which would be huge for us if Garnacho goes here. Pen's been given, but because it's a penalty, no booking, no double jeopardy. Tammy from the spot again versus Jorgensen. And Jorgensen goes the wrong way. That's a great penalty. Was about the same penalty that Jorgensen saved in the league game. But we are 2-0 up. And bit of penalty merchants here in the cup. I do not mind. I'll take it no matter how it comes. We lead 2-0. Serpent picking it up. Falls only to KK and Gusto. And they're going to be able to recycle. This is about when Chelsea came back into the game in that league match. And then they scored 2 goals to win. Hopefully not the same thing happening here. As KK and Gusto building out. Can we press? Can we win? We've been pretty good on the press today. That's a great ball, though, from Jorgensen. Breaking that press, and Palacio and Gusto, and they're out. Here comes Malo Gusto. What a run. Sterling. Victor Roque. Just like that, it is game on. It is tie on. And the first goal from open play is a Chelsea goal. But thanks to 2 penalties, we are leading 2-1. All right, things are about to get interesting. Things are about to get tight. And things are about to get tense after this well-worked Chelsea goal. Great ball from Sterling, even though he would not play for Chelsea ever again in real life. Just made some changes. Pereira, Fratesi, Luis Enrique stayed on the park. Into Tammy. What a turn, what a finish. Big man doing big things. Looking at an offside, apparently. He didn't look off. No one looked off. And the goal is awarded. I was about to say, what are we looking at offside for? But that is a big boy doing big things. Tammy with a hat-trick. What a signing he's proven to be. Great ball from Luis Enrique. Big body. Turns his man. Deflection slightly on the shot, but who cares? We lead 3-1. We just made some changes that go more box-to-box, etc. No need for VAR. That is odd. But yeah, more box-to-box in the middle of the park. And there we go. 3-1. Malo Gusto's long throw. Picked off by Parisi. Murillo. One more goal for us would kill it. As Pereira and Milenkovic doing their job. Good ball to Ndoi. Still running with it. Over the top towards Callum Hudson-Odoi. Off the bench. Should have been the sealer. Another highlight, 85th minute, Parisi down this left-hand side. We've been dominant today. It has to be said. But it's a mistake, and there's a chance for Chelsea to come back into it. We've been caught on the halfway line. Murillo, Steps, Santos, Lavia, Sterling. Look at them probe. If they score now, it's nervous times. Oh, Tammy. What a game Mr. Abraham is having. He goes crunching in as the pressing forward. Hudson-Odoi, who's been great off the bench, going on a run. And I'll tell you what, it is what it is. 7 minutes of added time, but no highlight in all of it. We're through to the next round of the Carabao Cup, and the dream of a Season 2 trophy as Ange Postecoglou continues on. A Tammy hat-trick, he looks superb. The boys dug in, played their best, and limited Chelsea to absolutely nothing. Bar a couple of hairy moments, even though they only had 3 shots, we look the goods. And maybe, just maybe, we sent out a warning that Forest are the team to beat in the Carabao Cup. The quarterfinal of the Carabao Cup. After knocking out Chelsea, it gets harder as we have got Arsenal, who have been fantastic in Season 1 and have largely the same squad as they do in real life. With that being said, this is going to be difficult, but before we get into that, let's go recap some results here, and we're going to just do it, just straight since we last met. It has been a weird old time. Yeah, lots of draws and lots of losses in the middle of that period. And we did not win a game since the 9th of November up until the 7th of December. So about a month without winning a game of competitive football. After beating Chelsea, we beat Palace, then drew to PSV, beat West Ham 3-0, lost the Leeds 1-0 after the international break, and then it just looked like we were tired and legless. And yet again, because the squad's maybe not up to the standard of like Ange Ball, and I think Ange's system and the way it's played needs a really world-class squad. Just some weird performances. So we had a 3-3 here against Fiorentina in the Champions League phase, which was pretty detrimental. Absolutely dominated the game, conceded every chance. 0.81 XG, 3 goals. Pretty annoying, which is definitely not what we want to see when that is happening. And I don't know why it keeps going back to that. But Brighton, 0-0 as well. 1.23 XG at home. Wasn't able to convert. And if we go into Wolves, we drew and we managed to beat Celtic 1-0 thankfully. We just lost to Newcastle. But not great. After 6 games played though, and with the goal difference we have in the league phase, we're currently though in the top 8, which is really important. In terms of the data hub though, we are copying it a little bit. According to the data we are putting up, or the data, we should be in 3rd and we're 7th. And this is kind of a hallmark of an Ange side and an Ange system. They generally underperform their numbers, which is a bit unfortunate for him. But very leaky defence. We have one of the worst defences in the league, but it is what it is. It's quiet, but we concede every chance. See, Liverpool's doing the same thing here. At least we're not as bad as Norwich or like the massive outlier out there. But if we look at our attacking data, we're doing pretty good. We're, up there in the top echelons of the league. We just need to be that little better in converting, and we could be the best attack in the league. And you look at the goals for and against here, 25 against, 31-4. Like, look at that. That puts us, like, mid-table against, and then when you look at us for, we're, like, top 4. So, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Now, for us to beat Zidane and Arsenal, we're going to need a great defensive display. We need to be able to do the business, go out there, not allow, Martinelli, Gyökeres, Havertz, Zubimendi, whoever it is, streaming from the middle of the park, come and get in those half spaces. But be interesting to see what happens. We need a win. Let's go and find out if we can beat Arsenal. And hopefully the first highlight you see is a highlight for Forest. Free kick. Anderson, first highlight. Can he put it on target? Blocked and cleared, and maybe it's Arsenal on the break. I really thought it was going to be our highlight, but maybe not. Anderson wins it back. Good press from him. Parisi's not 100% fit. Tammy's there. That's a goal and a half. Great ball over the top, and Tammy in that pressing forward role turns, hits, volleys. It's 1-0, boys. We're leading in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Get through this. There is, I think, Leicester and it might be Bristol that are playing each other. Dare to dream to get the winner of that one and not Liverpool, who's more than likely going to get through the other quarterfinal. But 1-0 up. Trafford going long, not what we like to see, but Anderson makes a nuisance of himself, but Gabriel will win. And it's Gyökeres, and it's Ethan, and it's Gyökeres. And just like that, it's 1-1. Don't know why Trafford is going long for. We told him to play out from the back. Instead, he decides that I'm going to go long. Very annoying highlight to concede when the goalkeeper does not what you expect him to do. I've never seen an edge keeper go long unless instructed to be more pragmatic. But, 1-1. Approaching half-time, there is a highlight, though, and Murillo finds Parisi. Maybe it's a highlight for us. Parisi, what a run. What a run, Parisi. Kepa, what a save. What a run from the inverted wingback. Went driving from the middle of the park. Would have been one of the great goals of the year. And unfortunately, from the corner, nothing comes of it. Well, maybe. Gibbs White probably should have had a dig. Nothing does. It is half-time. It is 1-1. If you have a look at the stats, Arsenal having more of the game in terms of creative ability and chances, but we have a 89% pass completion. Arsenal's in the 90s. We have 59% of the ball. And if we have the ball, we will create. And as it stands, it's 1-1. I think there's some promise in this game. And just maybe we dare to dream of that semi-final if we could find a goal. Playing out from the back. Trafford goes short. Good to see. Neco Williams, who's come on for Parisi, who was tired. Gibbs White dropping in deep. Sangari, if we can find the ball out the other way, and we do. Pereira. Serpent. Fratesi. Sangari. Oh, that is the wrong ball, and he gives it away. Milenkovic will sweep up, though. Got to be clean here. Can't give Arsenal a chance. It looks like they've pressed us really well. Konate looked offside. It's Karim Konate, not Ibru Konate, so apologies from before. I think the flag surely went up then. I think he's off by a mile. And it's still going to be 1-1. We're not having the best today, that is for sure. And, 1-1 as it stands. Offside by a mile, Karim Konate. Great wonder kid on FM. But there we go. Murillo, Sangari playing out. Gibbs-White touching the tummy. He's a big boy. Beats one. Sangari. Gibbs-White. It's a poor ball again from Gibbs-White. Zinchenko against his former club. He goes long. It's cleared. Anderson, he's moved out wide here. Ball to Serpent. Big moment. Serpent. Edouard Serpent scores. It's not his actual name, but that's what we've nicknamed him. The Serpent has scored again in a cup competition. He loves them. Off the bench. What a run from centre mid on attack. Anderson dinks it over. It's that third man run in the half space. Ange would be over the moon with that goal. And that is 2-1. And let's go, lads. Free kick almost immediately after we made changes down the other end. It's Lewis Skelly. They usually go in. Deflected and in. The worst way for it to go in. Probably had Trafford beat from that close. And we pegged back immediately. And it's 2-2. Yeah, I think Trafford was in trouble. No good, boys. No good. Is there a winner late doors? 90th minute. 6 minutes at added time. Match momentum been all Arsenal, but who knows? Tammy picks the ball up. Bring Colomawendo on for a penalty, by the way, out on the left. I'm pretty sure it goes straight to pens apart from the semi and the final. But maybe we should focus on the build-up here as Neko. Colomawendo is playing wide. Drives inside. It's Murillo. Can we go and find that pass? Neko. Tammy needs a runner. Doesn't find it. Milenkovic. Nico. Goes back. Trafford now. Good ball to Dominguez, who's also come on for Sangari due to the lack of legs he had. Nico. Dominguez. Tammy, runner, Fratesi, needs options, goes himself, got people inside. Can he find the ball? Back stick, keeper came, Kepa got nowhere near it, and Colomawendo could have been a hero. Still another highlight though, 30 seconds left on the clock. Could we find the dagger? Neko Williams, the Serpent, Colomawendo, Neko, Dominguez, steps, Colomawendo, oh, Kepa, what a save. Colomawendo, 2 big moments, and he couldn't score. Last ditch corner. The Serpent to whip. Is there a big noggin? There is not. Anderson, referee lets it go. Murillo's onside. Nico, oh, Kepa again. Kepa's made 2 outstanding saves in the last embers of the game. Serpent, 1 more ball in, son. Beat the first man. He does not. And it is a penalty shootout, ladies and gentlemen. We are off to a shootout. Our penalty taker's already picked. I do like having my best penalty taker taking pick number 4. And the reason for that is it's the most important penalty. Either you're a penalty down and that keeps you in the game to get your keeper to make a save to keep you in it. Or you're a penalty up by this stage and this puts you at match point. Usually. There's also a world where you're kicking second, it's been perfect till then, and this is the most important one, because then if you miss, they have an opportunity to score and win. I think penalty number 4 is the most important, so Tammy takes it. So your 5 penalty takers are going to be David, Edouard, Aranyu, Tammy, and Mr. Elliott. Big moments. Mr. Trafford. One time, be a hero. He's a big boy, Mr. James Trafford. If you don't know how tall he is, he's 6'6". A penalty shootout. It's Arsenal, it's Forest. And boys, this is your chance to be heroes. Let's see what we can do. David Fratesi, the Italian, to step up and get us underway. And he sends Kepa the wrong way, but he's hit the post. Not the greatest start. Fabio Vieira versus James Trafford. Trafford went the right way. Game of inches. They've hit the inside of the post and it's in. And now it's Kepa versus the Serpent, who's looked great off the bench. And he's missed 2. Could be penalty heartache. Trafford, I need a save, brother. Oh, Martinelli. Trafford's got hands to 2 penalties. Both have gone in. We've missed our first 2. Colomawendo. scores, thankfully. Should have scored in real time. Zubimendi, come on, Trafford. I need you now. Click him for luck. Great penalty. Look, it looks unlikely we're going to get there, lads. It looks unlikely that it's going to happen. The one's hit the post, one the keeper saved, and Trafford should have saved too. Tammy to keep us in the game. Steps up, sends Kepa the wrong way. If Arsenal score, it is all she wrote. And we're out of the Carabao Cup at the quarterfinal hurdle. Karim Konate versus Trafford. And it is all she wrote. It's finished Arsenal 2, Forest 2. And we are out in a penalty shootout here at the Emirates. If you look at the match highlights, it was an even game, or the match stats, I should say. If you look at the highlights, we probably should have scored in the dying embers in the 90th minute. And then Fratesi sends the keeper the wrong way, but it's the outside of the post. Vieira's effort hit the inside of the post and went in. And the Serpent's effort was well saved. And that is the difference. And that's what happens sometimes where you don't put your best penalty taker first. You miss and then it's pressure. But, yeah. Annoying. Sad. But what can you do? It is finished Arsenal 2, Forest 2. But we have lost in the shootout 4-2. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is the problem of having the director of football in charge of your transfers. Milenkovic, offer accepted for 62 million from the Saudi leagues, which is great business, but I would rather keep him with 6 months left in this save. And then there's another one. El Nazar, Sangari, 27, 62 million, accepted by Edu. Yeah, we're going to need to do some transfer business here, boys, as well. We've also got a bid in for this guy for our under-21s, which, you know, director of football doing director of football things. We only got 12 mil and 312k in the payroll. We're about to have a lot more money now to spend. But, yeah, we're in a little bit of trouble. Let's see who we can bring in. Director of football saves a madness, boys. This window has descended into utter madness. You've seen a couple of the outs. There's another one. And then, yeah, you can read it on screen. Ilian Zabarani, outrageous centre-back, went to, obviously, that's not his history, went to, obviously, Bournemouth, and then went to PSG. He's only played a handful of times because FM just don't use players for whatever reason. He's not the only one that's pretty cheap. Yeah, I will take that. It's just like the bid is like 3 mil up front on loan. We have options to buy, and we have a bid in. This is outrageous. There's more. There is more. I'm at a loss for words of what's going in. We're trying to get rid of Savannah to free up squad spots for Champions League. 261 million on the ins. And I'm glad my face cam is covering some of the players because you won't believe who we have picked up. One has been a mistake, and I'll explain the mistake as well. But let's just go in order of what we have seen. So I saw that Sangari got sold to El Nazar for 62. Cool. You guys saw that Milenkovic had a bid and eventually went through 62 worth 79. Morgan Gibbs White. That is correct. A man that I think in no world, shape or form Forest would sell. Maranatha's basically tied him up to the football club, to a wall in the football club, so you're not allowed to leave. So he didn't join Spurs this window in real life. Sold him. El Adiad. Cool. Yeah, big amount of money. I don't hate it because of what he looks like in this database, but yeah, exactly. Then there's been a couple of loans and stuff. 261 million. Edu's kind of looked at the squad and said, I'm blowing it up. It's like FIFA Ultimate Team. And then some of the players we brought in are wild. You will not believe some of the players that we have brought in. You could probably see the guy already that I'm referring to, but let's just go through who they are. First thing, Lima's just under 21s, our head of youth, have done whatever, right? Let's just go. We obviously got rid of a couple of midfielders in Gibbs White, who was playing wide but could fill in, and Tenkari is a defensively minded midfielder. I saw him bring in Gedson Fernandez. I was like, oh, okay, decent depth. You want to know what the problem is? Didn't get a work permit, and the director of football doesn't allow an ESC spot. He just signs them and says, oh, we'll just apply for it in 120 days. Worthless to me. Madness. But anyhow, you continue. And then I'm like, oh, we probably need a winger, like a proper winger, especially with Gibbs White going out. Yeah. Just I don't know how to explain it, but Neymar's here at Forest. I could only imagine a 32-year-old Neymar in an Ange system. He is outrageous, lads. Outrageous. And look, we're going to recap results, but he's only been in for 2 games. He's got a goal and 2 assists. Yeah, I quite like him. He dropped a 6.3 in the Champions League, though. But doesn't matter. Outrageous. Neymar is here. And then I was like, well, we still don't have midfield cover, but that's okay. I start registering Savannah now and Ndoi for the Champions League squad. And then out of nowhere, he goes, oh yeah, I'm going to get Fabio Moretti on a loan from Juve. Cool. Italian international, very well-rounded. It's a great piece of business, to be fair to Edu. If he plays 15 games, we're only getting for 13 mil. Obviously, I'm not doing a season free save, but yeah, I'm going to be making sure that the save activates that, because you never know. It's a lot of fun. And then those 3 signings is just absolute madness. And then you throw in the fact that we've got Ilya coming in, if this gets done. And he slots in right back here. It is utter madness. We'll be back, obviously, if that does happen. And we'll recap a little bit more. And then we just talk about results. Just talk about results. We've turned the corner. We're scoring goals. We're keeping clean sheets. Have a look at this. 9-0 against Blackpool in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. 2-0 against Spurs. 2-0 against Ipswich. 5-0 against Fulham. 4-0 against Norwich. Oh my word. We then beat Inter in the Champions League. I don't know what I've woken up to this morning. You can tell I'm excited, but this is next level. Yeah, obviously Neymar went ballistic and scored his first goal here. You guys probably all want to see Neymar's first ever goal for Forest, so let's show you. He also got 2 assists in his debut as well. 1 from a corner, 1 from open play. He might just change the whole way this attack looks, but as you can see, win the ball here. Ndoi out to Neymar, and it is a great finish, but I was changing camera angle, so yet again, just watch this. 1 touch, top bin. Yeah, we're going to have some fun this season. Imagine if Ilya joins. If Ilya joins, what is possible with this team? In terms of who's going to be in the central defensive midfielder, I'm not seeking out a starter because I think Dominguez is just as good in this role. He's got great passing, great tackling, great first touch. I think it's all really, really, really good. And the ball-winning midfielder on defend role has been a lot more Ange-like than the DM. So a great little tweak there. But this has been madness, boys. Utter madness. It's deadline day. Of course he came in. Just wanted to make sure we confirmed what in the earth of a team we are building. It is next level. Next level. We're going to do that. Nico misses out. And we just do that. And oh my word. That is some starting 11. Trafford in goal. Pereira's been decent. He's now actually club vice captain because we sold, obviously, Gibbs White, who was vice captain. He was captain, and Sangari was vice captain. Ilya's come in. Murillo. Parisi. Dominguez has moved into the DM, which is probably an upgrade. Anderson and Fratesi together with Moretti on the bench, who could probably get in over Anderson, right? Enrique's not had the best of year, but has come back into form over his last 5. Neymar is looking unreal. We just beat Leipzig in the Champions League 7-3. He scored 2 goals. He was absolutely everything. And Tammy's up front. Tammy's scored 25 goals this season, 13 in the league. We'll just read out these numbers so you guys can see it. He has 13 goals, and that is in 22 appearances, 4 off the bench. Huge, right? In the cup competitions, we've played 5 games in the FA Cup, Carabao Cup. He's got 6 goals. Huge. In 7 Champions League games, 2 off the bench, 5 starts. He has 6 goals at a 7.67, which means in 34 competitive matches this year, he has 25 goals, 7 pens, 6 assists. Huge. Outrageous. What a sign. And then look at the bench. Look at the bench. I can't even fit them all in the Champions League squad because they have no homegrown talent. Like Sells, Neco Williams, Morato is upset because of game time, and God knows what he's going to be upset now that he's back out the team. Fabio Moretti, James McAtee, the Serpent, Ndoi, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Callum Owendo. It's outrageous. There's Ben Davies doesn't even make the bench anymore. Nico Elivetti, very good backup, doesn't make the bench anymore. The reason why I'm excited is what can we still win in season 2? The league is not over. We beat United today, right? Which is a pretty decent game. We lay a marker in the sand away from home at Old Trafford. We go to 49 points. We have 2 games more than what Arsenal have played, and City have got 1 game in hand on us as well, right? But we go to 49 points. We put ourselves in a position where it's like, okay, we're starting to turn the corner. Maybe we're in the title fight. I don't know about that, but it's definitely worth having a look at. Champions League, as I said, we beat Leipzig. We finished inside the top 8 in our first season in the Champions League. We are yet to lose a game. We have won 5. All 5 are there. We have drawn 3. Not a loss. I'm starting to think Ange and Forest may be very compatible. But we won't get too ahead of ourselves because we got, the rest of the season to get through. And in the FA Cup, we got Blackpool, as you can see. We got Wrexham, as you can see, we won 3-1. And we got Leeds at home. So a Premier League tie, but a tie we should be favourites for to win. And I'll give you some highlights of that game. We've got Man United and City in the next 2. I think these 2 games are massive for the title fight, even though it's Feb. So we're going to be here with highlights of the United game, the City game. Then we'll come back for the Leeds game. And we're just going to give you a big old run-in of, action. Just action, action, action. Can we win a title with Ange in Season 2? It's a long old episode. It's a long old squad. But it has been a twisty-turny ride. And just maybe we might. One last highlight. Vickers is playing for United. Interesting. Anyway, one last highlight before half-time. Mbuemo, Mount, picked off by Murillo, falls the lures Enrique, and on the break we go. Tammy wanted it in space. Enrique said, no, I'm going with the ball down wide. Gets to the byline, cuts it. Elliot Anderson, Pereira goes down. That could be a penalty. And Tammy, who's in great goal-scoring form of 25 goals this season, all competitions, he's scored 7 penalties, is about to step up to score penalty number 8 against Unana. Can club captain Tammy do it? Yes, he can. Down the middle he goes. That is 1-0. He has the best leadership in the team. So obviously with Singari and Gibbs White, both our captain and vice-captain going, Tammy is now club captain for the run-in. And that could be a big goal that announces us in this title fight, ladies and gentlemen. We are 1-0 up, right on halftime at Old Trafford. And tell you what, Match Momentum top right just then was saying that it was fantastic. And we're the only team to have a shot on target. And we've been the better side with better XG and better shots. Lenny Yoro made just a couple of changes. Moretti on for his debut. And McAtee is also on. He's been in pretty good form off the bench, to be fair. Harry Maguire, Zerke, who's good on FM. And what a ball to Diallo. And that is the equaliser. That could be a dagger in the title hopes. We probably had to win both these games. But if we could draw 1, win 1, I would still say we're in the title fight. If we lose, if we go and concede another goal here and lose to United, the title fight, I think, is over. Because we need to be taking points off the teams around us. But that's a finish from Amad Diallo, and it's 1-1. 75th minute, Pereira, McAtee, goes back to Trafford, Murillo. Good ball to Parisi. Anderson. Fratesi. Anderson wants it in that half space. Instead, it's a backstick ball, and it's somehow not even volleyed by McAtee. Anyway, Ilya on his debut sweeps up. Enrique, ball in the box. It is Anderson backstick. What a header. You could see him coming from deep, that he was always going to get there first. Elliot with a running jump like a salmon, and he powerfully heads home 1-0, 2-1 against Onana. What a header. Look at him come from deep here, the number 8, and thank you for coming. Heads it back across the keeper. What a move, what a goal, and I was about to make changes, but it's a highlight from kickoff. Let's see what happens here. We'll stay with it. Rashford. Ball into, I don't even know who that is. And it falls back to him as well. Rashford again. Out to Mad Diallo. Moretti's tackle was blocked. Mount. Rashford saved by Trafford would have been offside. 8 minutes of added time. Time is ticking. And in the 97th minute, there is a highlight. 2-1 Forest. Unlike what I would normally do on FM, on Ange Ball, you just stay on attacking and off you go. In Trafford, what a ball between the lines. Fratesi, Anderson, we lose out. It's a counter-attacking opportunity, and instead they give it straight back to us, a little lucky. Murillo, Parisi, Anderson. We give it back to him again, and we win it back again. What a highlight. Slingshot football. Endoy, Neko off the bench. Oh, what a ball. Neco Williams, what a ball. Backstick. Anderson's moved to left wing and scored 2. Neymar was obviously tired and we took him off. And it's been an inspired move and a goal that seals the deal. We're going to win 3-1 here against United. We're going to give you some action from this Man City game at home. What a ball from Neco Williams. And lads, I think we're in this title fight. Lewis picking up the ball, finds Ruben Diaz. And Parisi jumps in and Neymar gets himself away, turns back inside, and Dominguez picking the ball up. Murillo, Parisi. It was Pereira that got the hamstring injury, by the way, boys. Neymar, good touch again. It's been a very big creative outlet for us. Who would have thought? Neymar, huh? Williams, Enrique, he gets picked off there. Now Neri starts the counter-attack. Doku now, Ilya steps in and does brilliant. Neymar now has options in the half space, and that is David Fratesi. Ball back stick. Tammy's there. It's 1-0. Just pop the ball in the air, and Tammy will score. It's a big ball in. It's a nice header, and we lead 1-0. I don't see how this is offside. And against City in a game we must win, we are leading 1-0. This is outrageous. Fratesi and Neymar linking up. And then you just, in doubt, pop it to the 6'4" man. Might have been off, actually, looking at that. It's going to be pretty close with the lines. But club captain Tammy heads home. He's been amazing for us. Was he off? Oh, miles on from when Fratesi crossed. It was in front of his man, though. But that is fine when he's behind the ball. Striker. 1-0. Neco finds Ilya. Dominguez. Ball into Fratesi. Oh, Neymar's in. Neymar finishes. He's onside. Think he's onside. We're going to check it, but what a finish. This is the thing. We have a winger that is deadly. Like, if Neymar gets half a chance, he scores. And we're 2-0 up here. Oh, we are going to be worrying for some teams back into this season, that's for sure. We're 2-0 up against City. Dominguez finds David Fratesi and a ball through to Neymar, and that is a strike, lads. We're in for one hell of a ride come the end of the season. Onside by a mile, by the way. Thank you very much. Great finish, 2-0. Approaching half-time, we have a highlight with Nathan Ake into Oscar Bob. They're yet to have a chance, City. This would be their first highlight / or shot for the game, I'm pretty sure. Donnarumma playing almost as a central defensive midfielder there. That's how high he was. Picks it up. Great from Luis Enrique. Fools the Doku, though. That is unlucky. Grealish and Doku puts it wide. It's their only highlight. And approaching half-time, we are going to be 2-0 up. Match momentum saying it was all us right until the last 5 minutes of the half. And well, lads, even though we haven't had much of the ball, which, you know, you always struggle to do against City, we're leading 2-0. Corner to Neymar. What a ball in. He drived it in. Luis Enrique. Oh, my word, what a strike. That might be goal of this whole experiment with Ange Ball with Forest. Oh, my word. This is incredible, boys. Sit back and enjoy. Luis Enrique on the half volley, top bin, pick that out. That is the goal of the season. Wow. An utterly dominant performance here. 3-0, not many highlights. We've limited City to 2 shots all game, 0 on target. This team is next level, boys. This team is next level. And there's one last highlight for Luis Enrique to drive and Ndoye off the bench for... Oh, what a finish, McAtee. Ndoye off the bench for Neymar. McAtee with his left foot fires it into the top bin. We are 4-0 up against City. Guess what, Premier League? There is a new dark horse for the title, and it's little old Nottingham Forest. This is going to be a fun ride home, lads. We've beaten City 4-0. Who knows? Maybe we can just beat everybody, win every game for the rest of the season, win the league, win the FA Cup, and win the Champions League. How about that? Quarter-final draw, FA Cup. We got Arsenal last time in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. Let's try and avoid a massive tie. There is a couple championship clubs left in this one, you know, in this competition, so this would be nice. Means we did play Leeds without giving you highlights. We did win as well. There's also a little bit of injury news that we need to recap here before we get into Champions League stuff too. Watford was one of the teams I wanted. No good. And Man City gets Stoke or Leicester. I would like Man United, preferably. Okay, I got what I wanted. Would rather have been at home. United, who we pumped, is the team that stands between us and a semi-final and Wembley. which would be absolutely outrageous. Now, let's talk about injuries just quickly. Tammy's out. He picked up a training injury. He's out for the next 10 days to 3 weeks. No good. And then Callum Owendo got injured in the win we just had over Leeds as well. So our backup striker's out. So we lost both strikers for the next few weeks. And that's a problem because if we have a look, we just beat Leeds 4-1. And since we played City, we've won against Bournemouth, West Ham and Palace, which is great. We got Borussia Dortmund in the round of 16. They're okay and they're top in the Bundesliga. Bayern having a stinker of a year. When I say stinker, usually by this stage they're 10 points clear, so they're still in the title fight. But yeah, we got Dortmund. That's going to be difficult. So a few highlights, obviously, another cup competition incoming. No striker. Yeah, this run could be interesting. In terms of the title fight, for those wondering, City are top. We have a game in hand and we are 7 points back. That's really good. The problem is Arsenal have a game in hand on everybody in this fight, and they're about to go 9 points clear if they win that game in hand from us. It's making it difficult, but yeah, we're in the title fight. FA Cup quarter-final against a team we just beat in the league. Maybe there is life in Season 2 and Ange winning another trophy in Season 2. Nice to be in the Champions League over in Germany. Who knows? Maybe this is the competition we win. You've got to love a Champions League song. We've had to play Neymar up front in the false nine. But Dortmund had bigger things to dream of than us. They're dreaming of titles. They're dreaming of Champions League glory. We are here for the ride. And who knows? Maybe that roller coaster starts right now. Throw-in highlight. Parisi. Fratesi, who, by the way, is playing at a world-class level at the moment. Parisi, what a run. Coble makes a great save. Not too many highlights so far in this first half, but a big one for Forest. Would have been huge to take that back home. The corner is going to be cleared, and that's that. Ilya finds Murillo. Good ball to Anderson. And Murillo. And Pereira. Moretti. Oh, what a ball. Fratesi's in. Oh, Coble again. Fratesi in the form that he's in at the moment, especially over the last month, should have really buried that. But that is going to be 0-0. Approaching half-time, very evenish game. 4 shots, 1 plays 4 shots, 2. They've had more of the ball. Match momentum says that we've been slightly the better side. It's a game of not much happening out here. But yeah, first half over in Germany. We'll take this every time. Ange's sides in the Europa League run with Spurs would be a little bit more pragmatic in Europe when needed, especially away from home. Not that we have been. We're in the attacking system. But yeah, Neymar's in the false line because I don't have a striker. So we're probably not getting the same attacking output up top at the moment. Throw in, Parisi. The Serpent's just come on the park. He's back from injury, which is good. Hudson-Odoi also back from injury. Off the bench he comes. Moretti! Oh, what a strike. It's a long-range hit. We're 1-0 up against Dortmund. Let's go, boys. What a strike. We lead 1-0 in the Champions League first leg of the round of 16. And it's through Fabio Moretti, who's on here on loan. What a strike into the top bin. That is utterly brilliant. We lead 1-0, lads. We need 1-0. Neko chipping one into space. Doesn't find anyone. Neymar with a slight knockout there as well. We need to wrap him up in cotton wool. But we can't. We have no other strikers. Hugo. Gross. The Serpent wins. Falls back to him, though. Could have been us making it too. We're going to stay on the front foot. Of course we are. This is Ange Ball. We're always going to be on the front foot. Coble goes second line, but was not through the press yet. And Neymar, of all people, winning it. Didn't think I would have that on my bingo card. Neko beating people in the box. Can't get past Sabitzer, but falls back to him. This ball in the box is diving header away. Luis Enrique, it's 2-0. What a touch from the Brazilian. Second half of the year, he's looked much better. And well, ladies and gentlemen, we have scored 2 goals late here in Germany. And with the fact they're coming to England in a few days' time, I'm going to tell you right now, we're favourites to make it to the next round of the Champions League. This is huge. Parisi, Florian, Morata. If it could be 3-0, this is absolutely fantastic. Ilya, Neko, Luis Hernandez. Into Parisi, Morato, who we just brought off the bench. Long ball to Fratesi. That's not what we want to see from Morato. And here comes Dortmund's only chance. And it's well saved by Trafford. But that's going to be all she wrote. It's going to finish Dortmund 0, Forest 2. We're in a massive ascendancy going to the second leg. And look, second half, we were much the better side. We were more creative, more expansive. And a Dortmund side who are top in Germany and were probably thinking about going on a run in the Champions League, have it all to do against us. And we'll go into the second leg action right now. Approaching half-time, it's going to be 0-0 on the night, 2-0 aggregate. Very similar sort of first half from Dortmund at least. Like the first leg. We were a bit more creative than we were over in Germany in the first half, which is fine. But 45 minutes away from another round in the Champions League, and the dream may be getting stronger of that Champions League run in Season 2 with Ange Ball. We win it on the secondary press, though. Anderson. Oh, it's a red card. It's all over for Dortmund. Zaniolo is off. Yeah, you would imagine it's all she wrote. I don't see Dortmund scoring 2 goals with 10 men away from home, but you never know. Enrique, great save from Coble to keep him in the game. 60 minutes played. We're in a pretty good spot in this tie. Highlight here is we look to try and win the game on the night. Fabio, Ilya, a goal seals it. A goal puts us into the next round. We should be there anyway, but yeah. Ben Davies off the bench. Hudson-Odoi does enough. Picks it up. David Fratesi, and the Serpent scores again in a cup competition. It's 1-0, it's 3-0 in aggregate. We're through to the next round. And look, we have a quarterfinal in the FA Cup against Man United to look forward to. We have got ourselves a round of 16 tie to look forward to in the Champions League. Round of 16 was a quarterfinal, I can't remember. I think it's quarterfinal, semi-final draw for the Champions League next up. So we've got a quarterfinal in 2 competitions. Who knows, boys? Who knows? Time ticks away. We win on the night 1-0. We're going to win 3-0, on aggregate. And we are into the next round. Absolutely dominant against Dortmund, as we should be against 10 men. Fratesi with another man of the match performance. Just quickly, guys. Yeah, that's how well he's playing. That's how well he's playing. He's averaging a 7.1 in all competitions. That's how well he's playing. Absolutely over the moon. Over the moon. The team has gelled so well together. Ange Ball was alive and well at Forest, and maybe given the time, he's going to do exceptional things like we're doing in this save. United, FA Cup quarterfinal, Old Trafford. We just beat them in the league over there, and hopefully we can do it in the FA Cup. Couple things to note. Firstly, we had our first non-win since we played Liverpool on New Year's Day in the Prem. We drew to Brighton. It's going to happen with the amount of games we're playing that we had a lackluster one. Should have probably won the game, but yeah, unfortunately for us, not going to be the case. Our injuries are back. That's brilliant, so we've got to be full strength for this one. Because we drew, we're likely out of the title race, but we have got a game in hand on City, who are top, and we're 5 points back. That's great. Arsenal have the game in hand on us, but we play them next. So we're going to give you some of the Arsenal highlights, because we win that, it's title race on. And then you probably would have saw it, but in the Champions League quarterfinal, we drew Liverpool, one of the toughest draws we could have got. So yeah, very likely how this is going to go is Arsenal beat us away at the Emirates, and we are out the title race, because Arsenal will have a game in hand and be too many points with like 6 to go to overturn. And then if I actually take my webcam out the way for you guys so you can see, it's Liverpool. We drew Liverpool. And on paper, you would say that Liverpool are going to beat us over 2 legs, especially at Anfield. Don't know what happens, obviously, down at the home ground. But yeah, it's likely that this game here against Man United in the FA Cup is the most important game, because this is the competition we can win. That is the starting 11. Let's get into some highlights. Carter Vickers in the Casemiro, very cagey opening half, and Ilya does very well. He's been fantastic since coming in. Tammy wins. What a pressing forward. Fratesi, and Tammy can hold it up with that big body. And it's out to Pereira. Anderson now into Luis Enrique. It's got a bit of a knock. Stays out there. Anderson, Perezi, Luis Enrique. What a goal. Well worked move. Ilya down at one end with a defensive clearance of a world-class centre-back, which he is, and then the attacking fluidity of an Ange Ball system to go and pass between the lines and find the half spaces, and look at Enrique drifting inside, and we lead 1-0 in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. Approaching halftime, we are going to take the 1-0 lead. 7 shots free, plays 3 shots, won a very cagey opening half with not too much to write home about in terms of actual key highlights, but very similar to what we did to United over in the league, which you guys saw not too long ago in the video. We're playing really well, and we're 45 minutes away from Wembley and a semi-final in the FA Cup. Trafford, the play out from the back. Ilya, good ball out to Pereira, and Pereira will be able to go with it. Finds Luis Enrique. Still going, still running. Inside to Dominguez. Pereira, Anderson didn't find him, and now United spin on the break. Pereira wins it back. It is a little jumpy. Apologies. I am trying to render a video at the same time. Did not plan this well. Parisi, back to Trafford. Into Ilya. Poor. Pereira. Gets picked off, and here come United again. Sesko. Luke Shaw. United with numbers in the box. Mazraoui and Mbeumo. They've given that a penalty. It's never a pen. Look how far the ball's gone. It's nearly gone to halfway. Trafford, you're a big body. Can he make a save? Fingers into the goal. And if you remember back to the Carabao Cup quarter-final heartbreak, he went the right way for a couple of pens, and all he got was fingers into the ball, but couldn't keep it out. It's another penalty he's got fingers to, and he can't keep it out. I've not been happy with him in goals. Corner down the other end, though. Neymar Jr. Still can't believe he's here. Dominguez. Tammy, I don't know how it's not gone in the back of the net. And Pereira's effort's blocked. I'm guessing that's the highlight. What did I just witness, and how did Tammy not put it on target? Highlight. It's Rashford beating people. 80th minute would be heartbreak to concede late again in a quarterfinal of a cup competition. The lit of all people. Mazraoui, Sesko, he's hit the bar. Warning, warning, warning shot from Man United. Approaching extra time in the FA Cup as we tick away here at Old Trafford. We've had the better of the game, but it's finished 1-1. We've had 16 shots, 5 on target to their 6 shots free. Their goal coming from a penalty that's never, ever a pen. But here we are, extra time. I've kept substitutions on purpose for this. Oh, here we go, boys. We are potentially a extra time period or a penalty shootout away from the semi-final of the FA Cup, or potentially witnessing our best chance of a trophy this season, and to complete the narrative of Ange Ball and Ange Postecoglou getting a trophy in his second season and making it continue, or potentially witnessing that go by the wayside. Trafford goes long again. I hate this. And not just long, he goes towards Neymar. Might be the sweeper keeper and attack role. We might play around with that, because a lot of our highlights against come from the keeper just going long for no reason. Mbeumo beating people. Mazraoui. Oh, no, boys. 2-1 United. Ay. This is too good for Mr. Mbeumo and Mazraoui. A great one too. Ben Davies, who his fresh legs just gets rinsed. And Trafford doesn't move. And United have done not much. All their extras come from a pen. And we're 2-1 down. Time ticks. We're out of the FA Cup. It's heartbreak. Out of the FA Cup in the Carabao Cup, and out of the FA Cup in the out of the Carabao Cup in the quarterfinal, and out in the FA Cup in the quarterfinal. And we do not deserve to go out at all. 17 shots, 5 on target, 1.77 XG. Gave him absolutely nothing over 90 minutes. And it was a penalty. It was never a pen. A really bad referee decision. You cop him in football. You cop him in FM. But yeah, and then the only highlight that actually created the whole time was Mbeumo getting in. And it was the fullback that just came on the park with fresh legs and his experience that gets licked. Makes no sense. All right, we've got to win the Champions League now, or somehow we win the league. Options are running out to win a trophy in season 2. Trafford going short. We've also moved into sweeper keeper defender. Hopefully stop him playing these long balls up to Neymar. But yeah, Parisi, Neymar Jr. inside the ball to Fratesi, going on a run. Neymar is inside if he can find him. Instead he goes back to it looking for Luis Enrique. He won't find him with that ball. But he wins the second effort. Neco Williams, Dominguez, Parisi, Fratesi, Tammy's there. What a well-worked move. We do lead 1-0. We are playing some sensational football the second half of the season. It would almost be a shame if we do not get a trophy. I don't expect it to be the Premier League, but I'll win here today if we could hold on. or score a couple more goals would be massive. And it is 1-0 Forest. At halftime here, well, should be, and it is. Arsenal 0, Forest 1. It's a game where we've controlled possession but can't break down Arsenal's block. Typical Arsenal performance, defensively very solid. But as it stands, this is huge. Arsenal have a game in hand on us. Winning this puts us firmly in the race. And hopefully we can continue to see this game out because we are playing that well at the moment. We deserve a trophy come the end of Season 2. Zinchenko deep in his half. Kai Havertz. Zinchenko. Anderson clears. Tammy does not get on that. Martinelli now. Ball back stick. Saka's there. And that's hit the bar. What a header from Saka. It would have been a great goal. But it's still 1-0. Corner Martinelli. Gabriel. Martinelli. Top of the box to Havertz. Rice. Martinelli's inside. Trafford, what a save. Onto the bar and out. Great save from Trafford. Still 1-0 Forest. Arsenal starting to dominate as Martinelli's effort is blocked. Is there another highlight here? Or is this going to end? Yes, it is. Thank Christ. 85th minute. Throw in for Urian Timber. Odegaard. Oh, he's hit the post. It falls to, of all people, Havertz. Oh, it's another goal. It's a late goal again. It's 1-1. You know, didn't concede a penalty to United, which was never a pen. We're into the semi-final of the FA Cup. Who knows what happens? Arsenal, we lose in a shootout. We scored one of these late chances we had in that game. You were in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Who knows what happens? And here, we concede a late goal to probably be in the title race. Is there a moment late, doors? On paper, we should be happy with 1-1 draw to Arsenal. It keeps us in the fight. But we are 5 minutes plus stoppage time away from getting a result that we needed to fight for the title. With Arsenal having a game in hand, this is likely season over in the Premier League. We just got knocked out in the FA Cup in heartbreaking circumstances. The Carabao Cup was in a shootout to Arsenal in heartbreaking circumstances. Get your small little violin out for Ange and Damo and Forest and this rebuildy full movie save. I don't think there's a trophy coming at the end of Season 2, but maybe it's the Champions League. Out of all competitions, it might just be the Champions League. Anfield, European night. This is what you dream for as a footballer. It is time to see if we can do it on the biggest stage. This might be the only competition we can win. It's Forest in the white. It's Liverpool in the red. Can we make the cop go quiet? And can we take a result back home? Highlight. Corner. Ilya. Oh, it's cleared off the line by Robertson. How have we not scored? It is going to be 0-0. Isak. Oh, no. Neymar Jr. of all people. I've never seen Neymar tackle ever. And Neymar goes and gets himself sent off in the Champions League. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. It's likely over already, boys. It's likely over already. Quarter to Wirtz. Ball in. Mohamed Salah. Wirtz. Cleared by Tammy. Frimpong. Konate. And Wirtz hits the post. We're lucky. Still going to be 0-0. We're on the attacking system and we have a highlight with 10 men here. It might be a highlight. I don't know. Dominguez. Looks for Anderson. Doesn't find him. We'll win the second ball. I love that we're still committing men forward. Typical like Ange. But, yeah, is what it is. Parisi, here we go. Maybe, like Ange, we're going to cop it when he goes down to 10 men. But who knows? We win it back, though. Murillo, Parisi, Fratesi. He's the only one out there on this left-hand side. And he goes back to Murillo. We need to go the other way, boys. Or just lose the ball. Isak. Trafford, what a save. Big moment. We still look to play out with 10 men. I love it. Wirtz corner, 57th minute. Salah top of the box. 1-0 down. It's Mohamed Salah. It's maybe the goal that breaks the camel's back. And unfortunately, we are 1-0 down with 10 men. And it's going to be a hard slog to get back into this game. Hopefully there's not too many more highlights. Or else we could be looking at an insurmountable lead. Time ticking away. It's only 5 minutes. It's only 1-0. I would take this to the bank. 4 minutes of added time. Come on. Get home, lads. Only 1-0 with 10 men. What a performance at Anfield. Oh, no, it's a quarter. It's a minute after time, Football Manager. We just cop it in every cup competition. Honestly. Penalty shootout against Arsenal. United's penalty, it's never a pen. And they played an extra minute and 20 seconds here. An extra minute and 20 seconds. Words were to take the corner after the 5th minute mark. Blow your whistle. And it's probably the goal that kills this tie. It's 2-0. It's not like we're out of it. But 1-0, it's like we're over the moon. Just win the game and we're going to be a minimum at extra time. Now we have to win by 2 goals. I don't know against Liverpool if that's going to be possible or not for us. Approaching halftime and yet to see a highlight. 0.07 XG versus 0.16. Halftime highlight, and it's Virgil, and it is all she wrote. Apparently it's come off Morato's at the start due to suspension to Murillo. It's an own goal to Liverpool. We're 3-0 down. I doubt there's a Champions League comeback here. That's never an own goal because the shot from Virgil's on target. But yeah, the only highlight we get right on halftime is a Liverpool goal. Not much XG around, and it is 1-0 down. We win the ball up high. Anderson, Fratesi, needs a score. Bang! We score finally in this time. We need 2 goals. 66th minute. Alisson's wasn't a poor pass out, just a poor move from Liverpool from back to finish. Well done, Tammy Abraham. And who knows? We're yet to make a change. Fratesi, the world-class midfielder, gets past Xavier and bangs it in the top bin. Could we? Who knows? Let's find out. Frimpong's red carded here, boys. 86th minute 3-1. I've also gone 4-2-4 for the first time all year in this whole save to try and get a highlight. 5 minutes at a time, I think we're out. All she wrote, we've made the quarterfinal of every cup competition. This would be a consolation one if we were to find one here. It would be nice to say we beat Liverpool on the night. As Tammy's back sticking, we will beat Liverpool on the night. There ain't going to be enough time here for us to find a third and get us into extra time. But yeah, look, it is what it is. A red card over at Anfield has cost us here. At Carabao Cup, quarterfinal. FA Cup quarterfinal, Champions League quarterfinal. On paper, it's very good. But for Ange Postecoglou, this is failure. Season 2, no trophy. It is failure for Ange. It's the end of season screen. That means season 2 has come to a close. There is no silverware for Ange. So the first part of this massive recap of the full live movie of Ange Ball at Forest starts with some disappointing news. Wasn't able to achieve our goal, which was a Season 2 trophy for Ange Postecoglou. I said that would be seen as failure. I think it would for Ange because the media would hound him about it because the English press are full on. However, I think there's got to be a lot of context regarding if it's a failure or not if he doesn't win a trophy inside his first 2 years at Forest. We've obviously got the transfers just there. We're going to discuss transfers in a second and a few other bits of is this a fair reflection? What wasn't fair or realistic? Etc. But we finished in 4th. 4 points clear of Chelsea. 5 points clear of Chelsea if I can count. 1 point behind City. And as you can see, Liverpool ran away with it late doors in the season as well. So there we are. Apparently our biggest win was against Blackpool. Moment to remember was against Spurs. Neymar obviously sold the most t-shirts. There we go. Guernseys, and that's the word I was looking for. They reckon we lined up in our best 11 this season was with Gibbs White out on the left and Enrico on the right, Fratesi through the middle of Elliott and Dominguez over Sangari, which is nice to see. Milenkovic, Murillo, Neko over Pereira, which I would agree with to Tammy up front. But yeah, look, there's some people on the list that you probably want to know. Tammy got 31 goals this season. Fratesi got 12 assists as well. And oldest goal scorer was Neymar for the year. So there you are. Nice to see. It's some records and club awards. Competition awards, absolutely none. And we did win Premier League head coach of the year. So, Ange, something's coming for you, mate. But yeah, once Nottingham Forest got rolling, they reckon we never looked back. However, what does this mean? What is the recap? What is the takeaway? I think there's context, and let me build the context. Firstly, 2 seasons is not a long time to turn a club that's been playing defensive football, sitting in their box, header and balls away. Not saying they played anti-football. By the way, I am doing a save at Stoke City. Anti-football's coming to the channel. Yeah, that's our next save idea, by the way. But, it takes time to get that to turn. Secondly, if you looked at the season preview, we weren't predicted to come in here. 8th at best. We look at the data hub, though, and this is what Ange would look at and say to the English press that will be hounding him. You didn't win a trophy. You lost in the quarterfinal over all your cup competitions. You couldn't win the league with 3 games to go. 78 XG, highest in the league. Scored it too, which is not bad. Obviously, Arsenal overscored their XG and stuff. Defensively, a goal over, but not the worst XGA. And we got 4 more points than we needed to. If you're looking across the board here without me clicking them, we were a little bit leaky at the back, but we had some strong attacking data. Arguably the best attacking data in the league. It is, according to the data, just we didn't score enough. So I think if you're thinking of it in that context, Ange has had a wonderful 2 years at Forest, and the squad is capable of being an absolute force under Ange, with Ange Ball, with the right additions, and if Ange, Edu, and Marinakis sit together, and Marinakis doesn't get on his high horse and be the typical owner that he is and goes, I'm not happy, it's been a year, we haven't done anything, I'm going to sack you, sort of thing. But if he gives him time, I think Ange could be a success moving forward. I want to discuss a few players very quickly. I know some people will be absolutely interested with this. So, as you can see, Tammy has got 31 goals all competitions. I'm going to do a bit of what I like to call a ballers and a fallers. We do that on the Chasing Rank FPL YouTube channel. Links down below. Our biggest baller for the season was Tammy, for sure. As you can see here, 18 goals and 5 assists in the league. Not bad. All competitions, 31 goals. 8 of them penalties. 8 assists. Averaged over a 7.3. All competitions. Scored goals in the Champions League and scored goals in the Cup. 6 Cup games, 6 goals. 7 starts, 2 off the bench in the Champions League, 7 goals. The guy just knew how to score. Fantastic player. Great signing. This is the sort of signing Ange would go after because he's a pressing forward and has got great work rate with physicality and he's tall and Ange doesn't mind that. So, maybe this was a pretty good signing, realistic. David Fratesi, definitely another baller. Was at 5 stars at one point. Form dropped off a little bit. But, just look at the form. Just always in and around the 7s and the 8s in the world. 9 goals, 8 assists from middle of the park for 7.1. All competitions. He got 16 goals and 12 assists in all competitions at a 7.1. Outrageous. And my other one that I really, 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 really want to highlight here is Elliot Anderson. And that's because of the development. If you're still playing your FM24 saves, you're not getting FM26. If you can get this guy in, do it. He has developed into an absolute dynamo in the middle of the park. Look how well-rounded he is. He might not have the stats. He's still 10 goal contributions, 19 over all competitions, but he was first name of the team sheet. Want to really highlight Elliot Anderson. In terms of fallers, we've had a few that have not done their job this season or over the save. I think the first one is definitely going to be James Trafford, who's injured. He was woeful. His distribution was really poor. Obviously, I think he's going to get a massive upgrade that he's ended up at City, and I think he's going to be fantastic in real life. But not a good signing for us over here on this save. That is for sure. Pereira's the second one. Played all right when was in the starting 11, but just way too injured. And wasn't defensively minded enough for us, and going forward wasn't great as well in the attack. Then the other ones are like Ndoye and Hudson-Odoi. This is down to Football Manager and the CA that they've given in game because it's based on FM24 not being probably of the level that they deserve. But basically did not march. And Hudson-Odoi was a little better, averaging a 7.47 in the league because he was involved a lot off the bench. In terms of actually starting making an impact, these guys flopped for us this season. I want to touch on the tactic before we do a little outro as well. This is the tactic that we use for 99% of it. We did have the slightly different tactic, which is just here as well. But in terms of the main tactic, you need the inverted wingers on attack, and you need to have a centre midfielder with a Mazzala or 2 centre midfielders on attack to get that 5. There's your tactics, positive, on screen, tactic on screen if you want to pause for out. And like your last tactic on screen if you want to pause for out. But typical Ange Ball, front foot, free-flowing. It's Australian football, mate. Get in the space, wingers stay wide, off you go. Go get some running you. People probably want to know about player roles. Not too much apart from tackle harder and dribble a little bit less on a couple of centre-backs. But yeah, the roles are just there if you want to pause and take it on. The big one for me is make sure you get your inverted wingers to go hold up and stay wider to create the Ange-like system. The wingers being creative, holding the ball up, waiting for the underlap and playing into those inverted wingbacks on attack coming in, or the Mazzala/centre midfielder making the run beyond the winger to really stretch teams and allow for the winger then to come back inside of them, pick it up, and then score like Enrique did in one of the games we just covered. But yeah, that's the team. What we're going to do now is we're going to discuss why is this a realistic point of view of Ange Ball and how Postecoglou is going to go at Forest, what wasn't realistic, and I'll even give you my predictions as well. So let's get into that. What was realistic was the fact that Forest defends really well on FM, and it looked like they defended really well for most of my data in terms of that we, in the bigger games, were able to nullify our positions, and I think it's going to help Ange and his system once he gets it right. What I don't think was a fair reflection is the transfers. Edu made some crazy transfers, like Neymar, for instance, and you can't get that realism like you do in real life on FM as much as you try. Also, the way the match engine plays in cup games and cup football, a bit different to how Ange will probably do it in terms of my system. He's a little bit more pragmatic, making sure he wins cup competitions, goes on the front foot when he needs to. But also, look at the RNG that you get on FM. I'm going to go out on a limb and say no team's going to get knocked out in a quarterfinal of every competition, every time, every season, like we did here in season 2. And it ain't going to be the penalties that are not going to be overturned for winning the ball. Penalty shootouts and players missing gilt-edged chances, 96th. It's all part of football. But what I'm trying to say is I think in real life, Ange has a better cup record and sets his teams up better and gets more motivation out of them in cup competitions than we're able to create over the 2 seasons. What I also will say was a bit of an issue was the CAPA of players, Chris Wood probably being namely one of them, Adoy and Hudson-Odoi. These players, Gibbs White, for instance, leaving, will never leave Forest in the future, I don't think, under Ange. These guys don't have the upgrade that they're going to have on FM26. So in terms of this save being realistic, elements were the system for sure, the attacking football and numbers we put up in an attacking sense, yes. The injuries in season 1, I reckon so. There's going to be a lot of injuries at Forest as they get used to this very hyper, aggressive football. But there's a lot of factors, as just mentioned, that aren't realistic. My prediction of what will happen with Ange, I'm going to give you 2. Struggles in season 1, he cops a lot of injuries, he finishes low down in the table, Marinakis does not like where it's heading, and he gets the sack. That is my first one. The second one, and the one that I think is more likely, Ange has a decent year. They play some decent football, they finish mid-table. They maybe sneak into Europe. He makes some signings next season, embeds his football even more, and in season 2, he picks up a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup, and he continues his streak. That is the more likely of my 2 predictions. It might fall somewhere in between when they make Europe. Maybe what we've done here, get inside a European position, but we don't win a competition in the first 2 seasons. Is that a failure for Ange? I think so, but look, it was good fun this save, nonetheless. It was pretty good fun to use Neymar as well. Either side of me right now is going to be links to 2 videos. First one is going to be, if you don't know who I am, I've been doing this for 9 years over on Twitch with some YouTube videos being put out. We have the top 10 Twitch clip moments my community has put out for. That video has been laughed at a lot in my Discord, so go check that out if you want to know more about the channel and some of the best moments over the top 10 and throughout the period. Secondly, it won't have a video as of today as upload, which is the Wednesday the 17th. And then the 18th, there won't be a video. But in this playlist, there will be a video on the 19th. I am starting a Brexit old school, long throw, time wasted, crunching, tackling, big boy wing play, Stoke City rebuild. And we're going to try and get Stoke before the FM26 game comes out into the Premier League and establish them back to where they belong as a mid-table, nasty football club. And I absolutely love it. Episode 2 in that, by the way, which I just filmed, is absolute madness. So either side, if you want to find out more about me, if you want to go and check out the Stoke save, if you're watching this post Friday, the 19th, thank you very much. I'll catch you guys next time. Let me know if you enjoyed the long format. Give it a like and subscribe.